Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Matt.
Yo, what's up?
Connor's also here.
Yes, I am.
We talk about DC Comics on this show. You know, that silly company that has Batman and Superman and Flash and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and all those characters. They release comic books on a weekly basis. We talk about a portion of those comic books, the ones we're interested in reading, and we get together and we talk about it every week. That's what we do. And coming up on this week's show, we have Event Leviathan issue 1, Detective Comics 1005, Superman 12, Supergirl 31, Wonder Woman 72, The Flash 72, The Batman Who Laughs number 6, Batman and the Outsiders number 2, Hawkman 13, and finally Wonder Twins issue 5. It's a list. It's a hell of a list this week.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But we can't get to that straight away because we got a lot of news this week.
Yes, we do.
Although conveniently, Solicits also came out nicely before the show came out, so we can actually just look at Solicits and the news will present itself as we go through the Solicits.
It's a nice outline.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different because Solicits used to be traditionally for years were on a Monday.
Yes.
Which meant, that we'd get all the previews on the Friday, we'd record on Saturday, and then, okay, the Solicits, was there anything extra? It's just kind of the following week. But now it's just all there. It's nice.
Yeah, we can look at it and we can look through it. But yeah, so this is episode 159, I think.
Shall I double check that? Because you weren't too confident.
Double check it. I think it's 159.
Yeah.
Yeah, 159, baby. Here we are. So we got lots of things to talk about. So we'll go straight into Solicits, straight into the news side of things because there is so much. I mean, credit too is we actually got over 2 hours last week on a fairly limited amount of books. I think we did a bang up job.
Yeah, wasn't it like, a good? It wasn't just over 2 hours either. It was like no, this is comfortably into 2 hours. Yeah.
It was a comfortable episode. Not the 3 hour behemoth of the previous week, but
new.
But comfortable. So I'm just gonna go in order. They've got them Solicits. Obviously, the headlines will sprinkle in where they may. Lex Luthor, Year of the Villain issue 1. So with these Year of the Villain one shots, this one is Jason Latour writing, with Bryan Hitch and Andrew Curry on the art.
That's a name I recognize from a book I really was enjoying that hasn't come out in what feels like forever. So.
Would that be Latour you were referring to here?
Yes, that's Jason Latour.
Yes, and he's obviously referred to Southern Bastards, which
the
hell happened. But obviously he was on art for that, not writing. So
no, I know, but from my understanding, it was the art that was the holdup. So I just feel like they're just gonna release the rest of it as a graphic novel.
I almost feel like he got a taste for writing and was like, hey, I prefer this.
Yeah.
And because he's been doing a lot of writing over the last 3 years or so, maybe.
Well, he created Spider-Gwen, right?
Yeah.
That's his character. So yeah, the one issue he did write, I think he's written a couple of them, but the first one he wrote of Southern Bastards was a really strange tale set in that universe, but it was also really emotional. So yeah. But anyways, I saw Latour on here.
Have you read much of his stuff that he's written? No. Pete?
No.
No. Okay.
I was reading the Solicit text. That's why I was distracted.
Oh, so we don't actually have that much personal experience with him as a writer between us.
But I will say my personal experience is I saw his name pop up, and I was like, "This is all cool," but like Southern Bastards, bro.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Worth mentioning, this is the oversized book at $5, so that seems to be true for all the one shots, at least this month. So keep that in mind as we're talking about these. And then the second one for the month of September is the Riddler Year of the Villain issue 1, which is written by Marc Russell, who's obviously been currently doing Wonder Twins. We'll be talking about that later. Art by Scott Godlewski. So yeah, got a Riddler issue.
Yeah, and I like so the Lex Luthor one, they're calling him Apex Lex, which at first I hated, but now I love.
That's kind of fantastic.
Yeah, right.
Apex Lex.
And so that's the character I'm sure we're getting in Justice League that we saw, right?
Hey,
he's all in shrouds.
If you're looking forward to some more Lex themed puns, just you wait until we talk about Wonder Twins later.
Gotcha. But this Riddler Year of the Villain, I think, a little bit more interesting for me at least because I guess Riddler doesn't get Luthor's offer, and he's not happy. So
that's intriguing.
I would say we're enjoying Mark Russell's work.
Hmm?
Not a huge fan of Godlewski's art, but maybe
it's good
they're right.
enough.
He's serviceable. Whenever he popped up in, was it Batwoman? I think he was popping up in a little bit.
Yeah.
He's serviceable. So I'm skipping past the Powers hardcover.
Yeah.
Well, not really, because you mentioned it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying that to just make it clear that I'll skip past things that aren't mainline DC or new issues or things like that.
Okay.
I'm setting up that precedent for later. So next up, we have a couple of Harley books to talk about, new Harley books. First one being Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy, which is a 6-issue mini starting in September, which is written by Jody Houser and art by Adriana Milo. Milo being the artist from the Plastic Man mini, which at least two of us quite liked when that was out.
Yeah, I only read the first two issues.
And then Jody Houser, I think we're all relative fans of.
Mello was also doing Female Furies, right?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah, Hauser, Mello, Harley, Ivy.
Art Germ variant covers.
Cardstock ones as well.
Cardstock ones. I'll read the solicit first because this is a new series proper. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy are taking their show on the road in this new miniseries. They'll have to evade villains and heroes alike while they explore their relationship and unpack their time and experiences at Sanctuary. Oh, it's actually fun up in Sanctuary stuff like that. Yeah. Set after the events of Heroes in Crisis and smack in the middle of Year of the Villain, it's a journey across the DC universe that will change their friendship forever if they live that long. So, my feeling on this is basically Jody Houser's writing that I'm giving it a fair shake.
I mean, I would have been down for this borderline 90% of writers. There's a handful where I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to pause just for a second here. Just based on what Cora just said there, I just want to mention, you'd probably say that about a Wally West book. I would want to say anything more about it just now, but we'll get there later.
That's why he said the 90. That's why he switched it up.
I kind of went, there's some people I won't read despite. But by Jody Houser, sign me up. I will say, kind of hate Ivy's new design. I'm seeing the cover there.
I'm sure it'll fix.
She's just a green lady now.
She's it's more of a She-Hulk sort of thing she's got going on in that cover. That might not be like a regular look though. That might be like specific to the plot.
I just don't like that design. So if it is just a one-off look, that's fine. But
yeah, if it's just a one-off thing, I can whatever.
If anything was prime for an animated film, it's this story. I know nothing about it besides what Pete just read.
Mm-hmm.
But do one of the DC animateds about this.
Yeah, I can see that though.
I expect it'll probably be very lighthearted and fun and fairly cheery.
It'll get deep when it needs to be. That's what Hauser's. I read all of the tie-ins, but she did the Star Wars ones, right?
Yes, Age of Republic, I think.
Yeah. Some of those got super dark. Other ones were nice and light.
Yeah, there was a lot of balance, a lot of variety in those. Some better than others, but they're one-shot formats, so it's limited.
Yeah. Now, the second Harley book that we talk about is a Black Label book that they've announced. This is going to be a 3-issue, $8 prestige, 64-page bi-monthly book.
And looks like it's a different size trim as well. They're specifying. So I don't know what the standard trim size is, but they're specifying.
Well, I'm assuming this is like Batman Damned.
Yeah.
Size.
Possibly. Yeah.
Based on format, which is fine. I had to just wrestle a cat away there because he was starting to knock things off the desk. Yes, you Firefly. Sorry, this is called Harleen. So Harleen issue 1 is coming out in September and it is written and art by Sejic. So
yeah, I mean, already I'm super excited because I know when Sejic finished off working on Justice League Odyssey, he said that he wasn't going to be drawing anything that he wasn't writing anymore. So kind of everyone was just expecting a lot of creator-owned work from him now.
Right.
More Sunstone and stuff like that, which people were still excited about, but we were a little disappointed because we thought, this means less DC work.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad just to see his name
maybe
back
Black Label's the place to put him. Get something like continuity just over. Do your weird, kinky shit over there and just go for it.
Yeah.
If any character speaks to that, it's
Harley. The cover's gorgeous as it usually is with him. I'll just read the description here. Dr. Harleen Quinzel has discovered a revolutionary cure for the madness of Gotham City. She just needs to prove it actually works. But with the criminal justice and mental health establishments united against her, the brilliant young psychologist must take drastic measures to save Gotham from itself. Witness Harleen's first steps on a doom quest that will give birth to the legendary supervillain Harley Quinn in the stunning reimagining of Harley and the Joker's twisted, tragic love affair by visionary storyteller Stepan Sejic. I glossed over the pronunciation of his name there.
Stroipan.
Yeah. So that says, yeah, they did kind of a new version of the origin, by the sounds of it, of Harley's origin.
So in 2019, like, so her original origin, it's pretty tragic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at least here in the States, I feel like in 2019, Harley starting off with all these good intentions, and then just a system just running over her like a steamroller. And that helps create. It's not just Joker.
Yeah, but it sounds like
everything else.
It sounds like she takes these risks with Joker because it sounds like that's how she's going to prove that it works. Like, I'll do it with Joker.
Like a test subject.
Yeah. And it leads to her downfall. So.
And she gets a little bit too close, and that's what it is. You know, like, I like that.
I'm excited. This is even if this book is a train wreck with it being written, because I've never read anything that Sejic's written.
Yeah.
People like his Sunstone.
No, they do. But I'm not sure they're necessarily liking it for the writing. More for,
I don't know.
All the pretty pictures, which you can guarantee this is going to look gorgeous no matter
what.
Yeah,
well, it will. Yeah. Like the idea that Harley is essentially a product of the system and the patriarchy because no one will take her seriously is actually kind of there's like a deep, tragic kind of rooted in the real world story in there. I don't know if Sejic's got the talent to like write the story that justifies that, but the potential.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah. So
Black Label's almost become what the what was it? New Age of Heroes was kind of set out to be. It seems like these are artists that are getting a chance to tell a full story.
Oh, sure, I can see what you're saying.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
From that perspective, I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, like because now you have this, you have the whole White Knight stuff with Murphy.
Yeah.
That he's writing and drawing, and so. Yeah, it seems at least to be on that track.
Black Label is looking more positive than it did 3 months ago.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, because I've announced a few more books that actually have dates, and
it feels like it's actually getting going now, doesn't it?
A thing, yeah.
Yeah, if they can time all these bi-monthly books so that they're on alternating months, that'd also be lovely.
It would, yeah.
So just that'd be nice. So here's maybe the big headline of the week is Legion of Superheroes Millennium Issue 1. It's actually one of two. It's just a 2-issue thing.
Yeah.
It's a $5 40-page book. It is written by Bryan Michael Bendis.
Yeah.
With art by Jim Lee, Dustin Nguyen, Andrea Sorrentino, Andre Arahu, and others. So, Legion's back, baby, and it's a glorious big cover of the big L and the circle. I mean, it's like debris of a ship.
And from what I understand, it's going to take from today up 1,000 years to the Legion and kind of redefine the Legion for a new
reestablishing what it is for everyone. Yeah,
which I think is good because that's what Wade did. That's what Wade did to make me love the Legion. Back with the 3-boot.
Oh, hey! So, if someone who's not read any Legion yet is willing to wet my toes in it, as it were, a solid defining of what they are in a nice, clear and succinct way is probably the best thing they can do to start this off.
Yeah. So what I gather is these are 2 issues where each artist is tackling a different character, and like Matt says, going through time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a Legion proper book coming after those 2 issues.
Probably by Bendis.
No, I think by Bendis. He already said, I'm sure it is Bendis and Sucks on art for the Legion book itself.
And he has gone out of his way to say, I hope you guys don't hate me, but I'm redefining the Legion as I see them. I'm not going to use, he'll pull from past things, but this isn't like the 3-boot Legion comeback. This isn't the Legion Lost comeback. This is him starting it for people like Pete, I'm imagining. And as a Legion fan, I'm happy to have them. So
I know there's a lot of artists on this book. Because it sounds like there's a lot of characters. Because I know Nicholas Scott's doing the Booster Gold stuff, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt can be excited. Matt can be very excited.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for all of this. I mean, you have some of the names associated with this. Sorrentino, like,
yeah,
it's
been a while since he's been on a DC book, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Connor, I have to ask a question here. So as someone who's been, an advocate for the Legion of Superheroes since this podcast started, so all the way back, number one.
Not as much as Matt.
Not as much as Matt, but you were always backing him up, and it was okay. So the Legion's going to be back at some point because of Rebirth, and it's been 3 years. You've been waiting for this announcement, and Bendis is the writer.
Okay,
how do you feel?
It hurts. It sucks donkey balls. But there is another thing coming up which makes me go, well, at least Bendis isn't doing that one. That I care much more about on a personal level.
So you would gladly trade that? You're a monster.
Yeah, that's something else.
Out of the two, we'll get to the other one when we get to it. Out of the two, if Bendis had to have one, this one every day. This is the one I choose. This is the one I would rather not read if I had to pick between the two.
Well, I mean, I would say that as well, but I care about the other. Whereas I've not read Legion yet, so I have no attachment really to them. Beyond,
I am as excited for this as much as I'm excited for this. I equally hate the other thing, and it makes me violent and want to burn things down.
I don't know if they've confirmed this, but I'm assuming these two big one shots are back to back in terms of September, October, and then December would be.
I'm sure these two are back to back. Not
or November rather.
I'm assuming November is when the main book starts, but I don't know if we confirm that.
Okay, all right, we'll find out. Next up, we have a deceased one shot, which I assume is because the main book's not here on the list. I don't think so. I think this is so the main book's taking a month off.
Yeah,
am I getting
guess
this one
it's
shot?
another thing. Just hey, we don't want to skip a month entirely. Quick, get a fill-in art.
Yeah, well, this is a $5 48-page one shot. Tom Taylor's still the writer, the sole writer, in fact. But we have art by Laura Braga, Derek Robertson, and others. There's a Matina variant, of course. It does have a horror movie variant, and I've been loving these horror movie variants. This one
might be the best yet.
It says the seasoning, and it's the poster from the Conjuring, where it's the tree but the back cape and cowls hanging from it, and main manners in the background. It's really nice. It's a really nice.
I appreciate that the cowl has the purple on the inside of the
has the purple on the inside, and like just the atmosphere there, like it's a perfect cover.
I think what I love about it is they didn't even just put the regular title, deceased, a good day to die. They went, no, screw it. We're fully leaning into this concept. It's the deceasening, which should have been the name of the issue, frankly.
That said, the main cover.
I should mention the actual name of the issue. It said "Deceased: A Good Day to Die" issue 1. That's the name of the one shot.
Yeah, that's not ominous at all.
Yeah, the main cover is also very good. You're right.
Yeah. Is this the Barda Mr. America one? Yeah. Well, the premise of the issue is that this is going to focus on basically a B team squad. Whilst all the heavy hitters are in the main series, this is going to have Mr. Terrific, along with a team of Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Constantine, Blue Beetle, and Booster Gold, doing whatever they're doing during this.
Guys,
screw the main
the blue and gold and red and yellow and green. By Tom Taylor.
This is mostly
silence for the Tom Taylor addressal.
Tom Taylor.
You may continue.
Right. This is basically the 80s Justice League team with Mr. Terrific and Constantine thrown in.
Yeah.
I can't believe.
Absolutely okay with that.
I mean, I'm a little bit concerned how many books I've mentioned so far that are $5 one shots that are coming in September. But other than that,
yeah.
As long as they pace them out, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's all in the same monthly paycheck, so my wallet's going to hate me either way by the end of the month.
Yeah. This is on a week 1. This one though, which is typically a quiet week. So thank you for that, DC. The rest of them I wasn't really looking, but
the Legion was
also week 1. I'll take it. I'll take 2 of those big books on week 1. Harleen's on week 4, a little bit busy. Harley and Ivy's on week 1. Oh, week 1's actually gotten quite busy after these 3 big books.
We might have to pick and choose because I won't have the time.
Year of the Villain
all of these
shots 2 and 3.
We'll see. All right. So that was Deceased: A Good Day to Die, which takes us to what's probably going to be the longest segment of the Solicits
This
talk.
is what should be the most anticipated book of September.
It should be. It should be. So if I walked in, I'll describe how I discovered this. Right.
Do you know what? Before you can get that, give us the title and read the solicit before we talk about anything else.
Sure. Right. So, I see on Twitter the news of Flash Forward, right? New book, Flash Forward. It's a Wally West solo title. Here's the solicit. His name is Wally West. He was the fastest man alive. That is until the multiverse was rewritten without him or his family in it. Wally returned and tried to make it work, but the damage was done. Spinning out of the events of Heroes in Crisis, follow the man who called himself the Flash on an adventure to find redemption in a cosmos that he has fought so hard, that has fought so hard to destroy him. So, I see this. I mean, the cover. The cover.
A beautiful Doc Shaner cover.
This Doc Shaner cover. I see that on Twitter with a link to either Newsarama or comicbook.com, whatever the website was that had the solicit in the news. I click on it, and I immediately see the creative team, and my heart just sinks. I didn't see anyone else react to this yet. I didn't know from other people. I feel like a lot of people probably saw me on Twitter screaming at the top of my lungs, and that's how they discovered this news. Because I saw this quite quickly when it went up. This is written by Scott Lobdell, with art by Brett Booth, and also Norm Ratman, who I don't know who that is, but Brett Booth.
Who cares? Yeah.
Well, Norm Ratman inks Booth a lot.
Oh, okay.
He's a nice guy. I've met him at a con. He's super chill, super nice.
I mean, for the record, all three of them might be nice guys.
I can.
Nah, Lobdell's had some sketchy incidents.
Okay, fair enough. I've not seen any, but I'll tell you what.
Scott Lobdell actually harassed someone on a panel in front of an audience. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's pretty shitty. Yeah,
he's
all right, Brett Booth might be a decent guy.
Yeah, Brett Booth may be lovely.
I just don't enjoy this work. Like,
no.
Yeah.
So
DC giveth and DC taketh away.
Amen, brother.
This is a lot of taketh. There's so much taking during this.
Matt got a Legion book. He also has to suffer Lobdell.
We have been asking for a Wally solo book for so goddamn long, and it takes the assassination of his character in Heroes in Crisis to spin something out into a book, and then the book itself is giving to this creative team. And the reaction I was seeing from a lot of people immediately when this happened was like, oh well, that just confirms that Didio's got this vendetta. And honestly, yeah, you might be right, but like, which makes me think, wait, so Didio knows we all hate Lobdell, and he's intentionally like putting him on books that will upset us. Is that what's happening here, or is he delusional enough to think that Lobdell's actually a good writer? Does he actually like Lobdell's writing?
I think he does. With the the amount of books he had in New 52, the fact that, I mean, he's been on Red Hood for 3 years now consistently.
Yeah, but who else wants that book? That's like by default.
No, exactly. I think Didio likes that book. I think he might be the only person.
3 years, it's more like 8, right?
Well, I'm seeing post New 52.
Oh, sure.
And he didn't do it all the time in New 52. No. I mean, just since Rebirth.
That said, probably the most I've ever liked Lobdell is when he did that Starfire arc that turned her. Well, no, that's what made me like Starfire. So, it took her from, being this overly sexualized, being in the first arc, to her like being this kick-ass space captain in the second, and that's probably the best.
I think
other than that,
the most I've ever liked Lobdell on anything is when he did some issues on Gotham City Sirens back in the day. Those were okay.
Mm-hmm.
Matt clearly didn't like them that much.
I don't remember them. This makes me so mad, and I've never wanted to boycott a book. Like,
is it just because they think Redhead is like Red Hood, so they thought, well, that'll do?
Well, I want to know like what this pitch meeting was. I want to know if this came from DDO. Like, hey, we're gonna give him a Wally book, but like, I don't understand where it's at with after Heroes in Crisis ending, and
I don't think Lobdell pitched to get on this book. This was Didio. Hey, I got something for you.
No, what this feels like is like they want to do something with Wally post Heroes in Crisis that's going to eventually tie into the overall mythology. Whether that's another event down the line, or whether because he has to be in a certain place for a thing next year.
It's only a 6-issue book. This, so it'll just set up where he is for whatever's next.
For whatever's next, right? It feels like the book is happening out of necessity rather than because someone actually has a good idea for a book. And just giving it to Lobdell and Brett Booth makes it feel like it's not that important. It makes it feel like, no, this just exists to do an A to B, and that's all it's really there for. And it doesn't feel important, doesn't feel special. It just... And we wanted a Wally book so bad, and this feels like...
It is.
It's a sick joke.
This is going to sound really harsh, but Lobdell is kind of like Abnett in the sense of being like, okay, he's just a stable house writer that, okay, if we need a book done, who can we get?
Yeah.
Who can just do a story for us? And obviously Abnett is a lot better.
Yeah, much better.
We don't always like his stuff. It's not always great.
No, but if this was Abnett and Booth, I would struggle through the Booth art because it's Wally and Abnett's earned it.
Yeah.
With Lobdell, and then you're going to add Booth, I'm just... Nah.
You can't, can you?
This is the most New 52 decision they've had in 3 years.
Oh dear. I mean, I will suffer through issue 1 for the sake of talking about issue 1 to see how bad it is.
You might be on your own.
Maybe I will
Have fun
be.
there, bud.
But I'll do it. Someone has to talk about this train wreck. But I'm not promising anything past issue 1.
Yeah, so before we were recording, we were talking about, I'm not going to do stuff I don't want to do anymore. Like, I didn't go see Dark Phoenix. This is what this was
Like
about.
the rest of the world.
Yeah, none of us went to see Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, but like for me, that's the first X-Men movie since 2000 that I'm staying away from. Like, I even went and saw X-Men Origin Wolverine first day.
This is the first one I didn't see either.
Yeah, so pretty big deal. But you know what? I'm actually pretty happy that I'm missing that stuff, and I feel the same from this. So I'm.
So I kind of reached that point during Heroes in Crisis, where I just went, do you know what? I'm done. I don't need to be angry anymore. I don't need I don't need to read this.
My mantra's been at least I have Bart. At least I have Bart and Young Justice. I've come to terms with I can only have 2 Flashes at a time. So back in the day, it was Wally and Bart, and then it became Barry and Wally, and now it's Barry and Bart. So
could be worse. I know Barry's not really anyone's favorite, but he's fine.
Solid. I like Barry. I like Flash as a concept. So
first X-Men movie I saw in theaters was The Last Stand. I never saw 1 and 2 in
really?
theaters.
Wow.
Well, no, when the first X-Men movie came out, I'd literally never seen an X-Men thing in my life. I had no attachment to it.
I know you're younger than I am, but you never saw the 90s animated show?
I don't think it was that big over here.
No, I never saw it. It was the same as Spider-Man.
Evolution?
The first time I ever saw a Spider-Man thing was the 2002 movie. I never saw a Spider-Man cartoon.
I grew up on all those really bad cartoons that I love out of nostalgia, but they're not good.
I don't think they were ever really big over here. I never knew anyone who really watched.
They were on Fox Kids, but I didn't really.
It's not that they didn't exist; they were there, but no one talked about them.
My intro to X-Men was that cartoon, and Pizza Hut had a thing where if you ordered a pizza, you got a free VHS of the pilot. So, it was that, and then we had X-Men Evolution. Later, I was in high school when that one debuted. That's a real solid take. Trying to think what else, but yeah, wow, that's amazing to me. But I also shouldn't be that amazed considering it took Batman Begins, where you decided to get into comic books, Pete.
Sure, I mean, no, I was at Batman the Animated Series when I was growing up. But that was it was that and Turtles. Those were the 2 cartoons that were. Important.
And then they Reese's Peanut Butter Cup and gave you a comic with both. That's weird.
They did. They absolutely did. Yeah. But yeah. Comic books. Yeah, comic books. Like if I knew someone who was older who was into comic books, I probably would have gotten into them because they would have suggested reading one. I was just never something that I asked for or thought of asking for.
Yeah.
And my parents weren't going to give me comic books. They didn't know jack shit about comics.
And I was all about the X-Men. It was X-Men and Superman when I was a kid. Batman, to a lesser extent, because the animated series, but yeah. That's weird. Yeah, so that's weird to me. It was just part of my childhood.
Yeah, and the closest comic book shop was a train ride away.
Yeah, we didn't have any. I had one that barely was afloat in the 90s, and then it was like I'd have to find him in the grocery store on the newsstand until I went to college. I kept up with Wizard. That's how I knew what was going on. Like first time I ever heard about Jeff Johns is he was writing Avengers.
Kept up with
And it's
Wizards.
like, oh,
Put that on a shirt.
yeah.
Dear.
This
So-
book is so depressing.
Yeah,
It is.
flash forward is such a depressing thing, and like, yeah, I'll struggle through issue 1. If you want any more out of me, then go to Patreon and pay those big bucks. But other than that, it's not happening. So moving swiftly on. Although make Connor read it, that'd be funnier.
How dare you? How dare
I don't know.
you?
I feel like he's got like he's been vaccinated against Libdell having to read so many.
No,
You know?
no. Connor must OD. I want Connor to OD on Lobdell.
No, see, I don't think he can. I think his
Ah,
tolerance is
that's
too
fine.
strong. Like, yeah, whereas he's kind of like, yeah, this sucks. Where me and Peter like, this is like the worst news to come out of DC in a very long time.
Oh, it is.
Connor's like, yeah, I mean it's bad. But...
This was like a punch in the gut. I got excited for a second about a Wally West book, and then it was like someone ripped out my heart and like pissed on it and set it on fire.
Yep.
All right. So to get through the rest of these solicits, we have Batman Curse of the White Knight issue 3. So Sean Murphy's White Knight sequel, which is also
Two
Black
good
Label.
covers. Like, I don't know which one to pick.
Yeah, disappointingly. I'm maybe the only others, so but I'm only just noticing this is $4.99.
Yeah, but it's not bigger. Yeah, it's the regular
Yeah.
8-issue
Well,
book.
right.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. And then we actually have another new book. We have Gotham City Monsters, which is written by Steve Orlando with art by Amanke Nahilpin. That was okay.
Good job.
I'll take that.
Sure.
So I'll give you the description. This is a 6-issue mini starting in September. Leviathan is dismantled shade. So hey, it's kind of spinning
Of
out
course.
of all that.
Yeah.
So Leviathan is dismantled shade, and that means Frankenstein is once again a free agent. Now he can set his sights on his former mentor Melmoth, the one evil that got away. With bad things happening all across the multiverse, this may be Frankenstein's last shot at setting things right. Of course, Melmoth has his own agenda, and it's going to take more than one lone monster to take him down. So Frankenstein heads to Gotham City in search of allies and recruits Killer Croc, Lady Clayface, Orca, and Vampire Andrew Bennett. But, well, even these dread creatures be enough to save humanity before the entire cosmos collapses on itself.
So
Okay.
on one hand, you've got that lineup, which is
Yeah.
a glorious team book, and on the other hand, you got Orlando. So
I'm gonna take a gamble. Like this.
Hey, I mean, as much as I didn't keep up with it because the week was busy, Martian Manhunter was pretty good in
yeah,
places.
I wasn't a big fan, although I didn't really like the art that much either. So
Yeah, I wasn't super huge on the art, but and the Batman Shade book was solid enough, and his Wonder Woman issue wasn't too bad from what I read. So, you know, it could
But
be.
remember Justice League of America?
I do recall that, yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on, Lady Clayface and Orca with Killer
Yeah.
Croc and Frankenstein. Come on now.
So
Andrew Bennett.
Andrew Bennett. That's exciting. I Vampire. Go read that first trade. It's fantastic.
Is
If you haven't.
you know about the new 2 book or the old one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new 52 book. Yeah, I Vampire. Fantastic.
It's
So I started looking at Melmoth because I wasn't
Of course you
familiar. Right. So Melmoth is from a 1820 Gothic novel written by an Irish playwright. That's about a scholar who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for 150 years of life, searches the world for someone who will take over the pact for him. And the fact that they're tying that into Frankenstein, which is you could argue the first like Gothic horror novel. And then I'm scrolling down Melmoth and pop culture, and guess who wrote Melmoth as an antagonist to Frankenstein? Connor. It would be Grant Morrison, because of course, in a Seven Soldiers story. So yeah, I'm here
shocked.
for this book.
So shocked.
Yeah, I'm
I'm-
here for Melmoth.
I'm gonna try it out in spite of Orlando, but
Yeah,
because I want to love this.
I'll try it. Do you know what's funny? This is on week 2, but week 1 became so stacked with those earlier books. I'm actually okay with week 2. This is probably better for it.
this is kind of almost the Justice League Dark team I would expect, right? Like these are dark.
This is like Justice
characters,
League monsters,
monsters.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say expect, but I kind of see what
Well,
you're saying.
I mean that lineup. Like you could throw Man-Bat in here and it'd be fine. You know, like.
So
Yeah.
here's this next thing is the wait what entry of the Solicits this
Yeah.
month. So Inferior 5 issue 1, which is the start of a 12-issue series, so it'll take a year. It is written by Keith Giffen and Jeff Lemire, with art by Keith Giffen and Michelle Delecky. And you got a backup story written by Lemire as well, a backup art by Jeff Lemire.
Tron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm assuming that where it says written by, at the top, Giffen and Lemire. I'm assuming Lemire's just on the backup and Giffen's on the main story.
Oh, they could be working with each other though. Like,
I
they
don't know.
could be.
The way this is written sounds like they're both working on the main story, and then there's also a backup story by Lemire.
Mhm.
Maybe.
I
We'll
mean,
see what it comes out.
if it's the way you see it, then they've written this poorly. But the way it's written here definitely doesn't imply that. So I'll read the description here. This is actually a follow up to an old event book from like the early 90s, or was it late 80s?
No, probably on the cusp.
On the cusp.
Right around
But
that.
most people would probably know it from the first crossover.
I think it was
of
like
DC.
88, 89.
Yeah. Of
That was like
of
the third
DC
crossover, Matt.
shows.
But yes, sure.
Was it
Yeah.
Yeah.
Invasion?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it couldn't
because
have.
the first one was setting up the Legends.
That was the second one. The first one was just Flash and Arrow.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right.
I'm talking about all the shows. Like once they all start like making an actual event. You know what I mean? Like yeah, it's Supergirl and Legends and
Okay, I mean,
Arrow.
it was the first one with 4 shows included, sure, but like, it wasn't
Yeah,
the
I'm
first
talking about
crossover.
big huge.
So, anyway, the citizens of Dangerfield, Arizona are beset by a strange going-ons after the invasion that rocked the DC universe. As if that just happened. As if invasion just happened.
Yeah.
But only 5 misfit kids seem to notice them. Can they uncover what's happening before some sinister force collects them all? Find out in this new miniseries. And in the backup, feature a story by an art by Jeff Lemire. The Peacemaker is a top secret mission from Checkmate and Amanda Waller to find a mysterious weapon before the Russians can. So this sounds like Stranger Things in the DC universe by Giffen and Lemire.
Yeah, I'm so down for this book. Like, Invasion was kind of fun.
Yeah, I've actually never read Invasion, but naturally for the Patreon monthly show, that'll be the thing we do right before this hits.
Yeah, it's weird. We're gonna have 2 events back to back.
Yeah.
aren't we, give or take.
Yeah, Connor was
Maybe
right
there'll
that
be
it was
1 month between them.
88 to 89.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. And it was 3 issues, so it's not that.
Yeah, but they're like 80-page issues.
Yeah, the big chunky ones.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Shit.
So it's a meaty read.
So, yeah, 12 issue. I don't want to say sequel to Invasion. It's more of like a. It's
A
almost
story
like
that happens
spin-off.
to be set right after.
spin-off. To me, this feels more like someone like they had this idea for this group of misfit kids to like investigate this alien thing, and they just kind of tied it into a DC event that happened at some point.
Do you know what's weird though? It kind of feels like that symbiote Spider-Man that's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that's wrapped up or not yet, but like it's
All
weird.
right, well, the actual event is much more huge. It's not just the 3 issues.
Oh yeah. You can read
Yeah.
just the 3 issues,
yeah.
and it works, but there's a lot.
There's a lot of
And
tie-ins.
so the
yeah.
reading order presented in the back of each main issue. So it's out of the Invasion 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there's another 18 tie-ins in between that first issue and issue 2.
I can
And then
tell
they
you
get
now,
progressively smaller in between.
on our
Yeah.
monthly episode, it will be the 3 issues,
Yeah.
Yes.
not all the rest of it.
So, well, that's why when I said, oh, it's only 3 issues, and I was like, oh, wait, no, there's a ton of tie-ins.
Matt's completionist brain just went, nope, it's like 40.
Yeah. Oh, man, those War of the Realms were killing me before I did that. I don't have to read all of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The ones
yeah,
I've chosen to read, I do enjoy, though.
so Inferior 5. So yeah, I'm getting Stranger Things vibes from this, bizarrely. Like set in the DC
But also
universe.
that name
At least
feels
the
like a
backup,
Legion name.
yeah.
You know, because you have the Fatal 5.
What do you mean at least the backups? The
Oh,
main
no,
story.
Yeah,
the main-
I was reading them.
Okay.
Sorry, I read the wrong one. I just skimmed.
Was the one with the
glanced over it.
kids feels like Stranger Things?
Yeah, no, I glanced at the wrong bit.
Oh dear. So yeah, 12 issues. That is on week 3. Perfect for it. We need more books in week 3. Damn it.
Yeah.
A lot of new books in September. This is weird. September's like rejuvenating the lineup a little bit.
It's that is their month. Don't forget.
Yeah, but then Flash Forward's also out. So.
Well, yeah, but no, but you're referring to the New 52 thing, but that was the month in New 52. It's not really been a thing since then.
No, I'm just saying, that was the month for 5 years where, okay, this is where you could expect your solicits to be a bit weird.
Oh, sure, but the last 2 years haven't been like that, have they?
No, they haven't. No, I'm just saying, to return to form, clearly.
I guess. I wonder if this is more to just do with the fact that Doomsday Clock should be ending around this time.
Yeah, more on that later.
Yeah. So yeah, they're releasing some old books as dollar comics, blah blah blah. As you
That's
do.
cool. I like that though. I like when they do that.
Action Comics 1015 is coming out. Bendis continuing his story. A lot of card stock variant covers for the $5 this month.
You're getting Naomi in this action, aren't you?
Yeah.
We are, yeah. That's exciting.
That cover is amazing. It's a Marquez cover. But yeah.
Yeah, Aquaman 52, of course. Again, another pretty nice variant on this one. At least I think it's the variant.
Yeah, it's Middleton.
Yeah.
The green
card
one.
stock.
The green one, yes.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Pretty.
That solicit has me very excited. And it's good to be excited about Aquaman again.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we have been since the comic took over.
yeah, but at this it says Black Man is reunited with his dead father, but at a great cost to both. Meanwhile, Aquaman's investigation of the Amnesty Bay killer takes a stunning turn, and Mera must make a life-altering decision. Like that's some good times, I feel.
Yeah, Mira's trying to decide if she wants to give up cheese or not. That's the life-altering decision.
Oh, you can't just give up cheese. It's hard. I tried. I'd rather give up sugar than cheese.
Yeah. That's
I
fair.
have a sugar sandwich. Well, I'm sure you can, but
Well, you can. Yeah, but
cheese
I don't recommend
sandwich.
it.
Hooey.
So then we have Batgirl 39. Business as usual. Cecil Castellucci, of course, took over the month before, so she's still on that there. I will say I like the variant, except Batgirl's face feels a bit weird on the
Do you know
variant.
what I dislike about the variant?
Mm-hmm.
Is it feels like it's trying to be the Middleton variants that we've had.
Yeah.
It's just not as good.
Yeah, that Milton variant.
But it's the same sort of style, and it suffers because if it was just wildly different, you probably wouldn't even compare them.
Joe was frustrating about it is I actually think the hair looks fantastic. I think it's just the face feels a bit too sinister.
I'm not really a fan of like the body feels really truncated, like she's got no waist or stomach. I don't know.
She's thick.
It's just a weird angle. It just looks wrong.
She's got big old tree trunk legs, perfect for kicking.
Yeah, but then it feels like I go straight from her leg, hips. Okay, now we're at her boobs. There's nothing in between. Like, I don't know. There's something weird about the angle there.
Yeah. You got Batman 78 and 79, and I was actually reminding myself as I was looking through these solicits that that's right. Like come January, we're going to be single shipping on everything, right? So worth keeping that in mind as we're getting near the end of this double shipping dance. So Batman Beyond's still there. Batman the Outsiders issue 5 is there.
Book, the next one.
Batman Superman issue 2.
Williamson had a tease earlier in the week that said on Friday we'll find out who the first of the what do you call it? The Dark Multiverse infected heroes are.
The Secret Six.
Yep. And the first one is Shazam.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That's a great cover as well with Evil Shazam.
It is. Yeah. It's so sinister.
That's it. I really like the other cover as well.
Oh, the Opena one, yeah.
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 It's
like
nice.
You can do without that stupid Batman who laughs though. On there.
I like
Get
that
him
it
out of
plays it
that.
like a gargoyle though. Like for the cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a sledgehammer.
You got Batman Turtles issue 5. You got Batman V's Ra's al Ghul issue 2. This is the Neil Adams book, which I'm sure we're probably going to skip because Neil Adams.
Because train.
Yeah, because Trainwreck. Got Catwoman 15. That's still going. Still not final issue. I'm seeing. I keep looking for every month.
And it's Ram V, who I almost called Ram 5.
I do that every time.
Yeah, right. So I don't know what's going on with that book. Like,
Ram 5 is alive.
There's a phenomenal hard gem cover though for that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's based on the Batman Returns suit.
Yeah, but holy crap, that is an amazing image.
Oh, yeah, it's just a beautiful cover.
I don't know exactly what she's cleaning, but sure.
Her outfit. She's cleaning her outfit. Go with it. Detective Comics 1011 and 1012, of course. Kristen Duss in the first one in terms of art, and then the second one is Doug Mankey and Jaime Mendoza. Just glance at the art, see who's being consistent or not.
Little disappointing that Mankey's return isn't even just him. I mean, sure.
Deathstroke 47, Dial H issue 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Dial H maybe 6 issues originally?
So, yeah, that's part of a news story we got.
Yep. So they did that with that and Wonder Twins. I had seen Stephen Byrne. Did we decide, Connor?
Yes.
I couldn't remember who I saw it. Had said that he was working on Wonder Twins like issue 7, and I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. And then he quickly changed the subject.
Yeah, I thought it was just a typo or something at first.
Yeah. And stuff, and then it got announced later in the week that they're doing so well, and Wonder Comics as a whole is doing well, that they decided to extend both of them to 12-issue series.
Okay. Which I love, because I'm loving both those books. My only disappointment is that they did that rather than, just doing a season 2 in the same way they are Naomi. It would have made more sense to me.
Yeah, but
consistent.
I've got a theory. Given that Naomi's shown up in action, I'm wondering if the break in Naomi, as much as it's to do with keeping the same team consistently, I think it's also because they've got plans for Naomi to do things before season 2.
I'm seeing a lot of speculation that she'll be going and doing stuff with the Legion.
I can see that.
Along with John as well.
Yeah,
actually,
John's the other one. Yeah,
Solicits.
I've been seeing a lot of speculation about John.
Oh my god, a Superboy in the Legion, and I get Superboy and Connor Kent with Young Justice.
Everything's coming up, Matt.
And I think I might go back with Dial H and check this out, base. If they're going at a 12-issue.
Yeah, can we just
I might go back.
Good that cover is.
And it might be because of that cover, also.
What cover?
The Superman with the foe.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
So that's a great cover.
Oh.
All right, we got Doom Patrol: Way of the Worlds issue 3. So that's continuing. It's a shame, actually. I kind of wish I'd kept
Special
up.
287th anniversary issue.
Doom Patrol is something I wish I'd kept up with back when it started at Young Animal, so I'd be up to date with it.
I mean, it's only like 12 issues or something, isn't it?
If I find the time, sure, but like,
I'm okay.
I'm a lot more invested in Doom Patrol. After reading some of Morrison's run, the TV show, I'm a lot more
willing and open to it.
tapped in.
After getting assaulted on the internet for not liking My Chemical Romance by people, I'm perfectly okay with not having Neil Gerard Way's name.
I very much dislike My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, I hate My Chemical Romance.
I think Gerard Way is a much better storyteller than he is a songwriter.
But when you get associated with a fan of our show bringing up how maybe they don't like My Chemical Romance, and then a mutual friend's getting involved, that's a name that gives me a little bit of stress now.
I would struggle to listen to My Chemical Romance if you paid me to, but turns out I really like his comics.
I'll tell you something that was funny. I saw when Umbrella Academy was starting on Netflix. There was a lot of articles about it coming up, and there was an article, from one of the usual websites saying just who exactly is, Umbrella Academy creator Gerard Way, and I saw like My Chemical Romance fans on Twitter being really upset that as if everyone knows who he is. He's My Chemical Romance guy.
I feel like a lot of people around our age group will know who he is
because
of that.
I mean, I didn't know who he was. See, when we were first starting talking about Young Animal back when that was first announced, like you guys told me that was a guy from My Chemical Romance, and I was like, wait, what? Yeah. He writes comics? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he is an arty type guy. That he's one of these types. It's not just music for him. Like he has all sorts of different things, and that's cool. And by all accounts, he's probably a nice guy. I just don't enjoy his comics, and again, that's fine too. But like, I'm more surprised that Connor's not a My Chemical Romance fan. Being how much he's influenced by Morrison and whatnot. Like,
and just how bad Connor's taste is in general. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
What wonderful storyteller when it comes to comics. Terrible songwriter. Yeah,
that Black Parade album, and I will fight Alden on this. He'll probably never hear this though. I don't like it. No, I tried.
No,
it's
that's I don't know what song it is, but the one where they're carrying the coffin, I feel like that was playing like every like hour back in the day.
The Black Parade.
Welcome to the Black Parade. Yeah,
and it's got the so piano melodramatic.
The stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so, and I just that said, he got Grant Morrison to do a couple music videos with him playing the villain. in that concept album. So I kind of like that. Not a big fan otherwise, but there's ideas there. So 287 issue though, or anniversary, whatever. That's kind of funny.
Next up, Event Leviathan issue 4. More on issue 1 later because I just started this week. Freedom Fighters issue 9. I swear I'm going to catch up in this so I can start talking about it.
You should, because especially this issue.
I'm like 3 issues behind now. It was a 4 maybe. I don't know. Wherever we're at.
I'm 1 more behind than you are.
I need to do it.
Cyborg Overman. I love that name so much.
Cyborg Overman.
That is great.
Flash 78, 79, as you do. It's the arc's called Death of the Speed Force.
Still, yeah.
So we'll
ongoing.
see. We'll see. Green Lantern issue 11, of course, is there.
Carol's back in it, and with one of Sharp's best covers yet, I think, for the book. And there's been some good ones.
Harley Quinn issues.
My God.
Oh.
Is that Star Sapphire?
Yep.
I think Matt's going to be catching up on Green Lantern soon.
No, not after what I heard last week.
Hey, last week was awesome.
Harley Quinn 65, which is out of 3 Harley books, the one I won't be reading in September, apparently. Amusing. So that's going on. Hawkman 16 is there. Is that different artist on that again? Because that was not the same artist that was on it this week.
Yeah, I think it's been changing over this arc each issue.
Okay.
By what I recall.
Okay. Justice League's 31 and 32, and this is where the other bit of news I think has to come in.
Yeah. Some biggie.
Yeah, so Justice Society of America are going to be in the pages of Justice League. And yes, Matt.
I am so excited.
I thought you had more, Matt. I thought it was just excitement. Okay.
No, I'm just laughing because Connor's missing out on Legion, right? Because he doesn't want to read Bendis. Not that you'll miss out, but you're not exactly stoked on what Snyder's doing with Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm upset that Lobdell's writing Wally. So like, there's something that
all of us are disappointed about in these solicits.
But there's also other things to be more than excited about, and I'm trying to focus on those.
I mean,
I'm very excited for this because that cover by Manipool.
Yeah, and just so obviously we're saying here, right? The JSA are back in this book. Snyder is teasing that there might be an actual ongoing after coming. His tweet says, regarding the JSA, I'm not just bringing them back in Justice League, although they are reintroduced and play a big role in the Justice Doom War. I have much bigger plans for them. This is a team I've been waiting to write for a long time. Its origins, first missions, more TBA soon. I don't hate Snyder as a writer. I'm still enjoying the Justice League book to a point. Is he my number one pick for JSA? Not really. I do kind of like, though, that DC want to position them alongside the Justice League. But this is a book by Snyder as well.
Well, they should.
Yeah, but if they're positioning it as kind of like an equal book, or clearly the next book down in terms of the mainline DC, I like that they're getting that spotlight. That's good. Admittedly, I will say the big problem I have with this news this week is, obviously I'm excited about JSA. I'm excited about them being around, even if it's not the perfect incarnation that maybe I wanted. Just that cover from Manipool. I see all the main players that I want to see. I'm seeing, Sand. I'm seeing, Jay. I'm seeing Alan. I'm seeing Hawkman. I'm seeing Wildcat.
It's not Sand. It's Sandman.
Sandman.
That's Wesley Dodds.
Yeah.
That to me, that's an even bigger deal because this is 1940s JSA. This isn't the team that we all love.
Sure, yeah.
John's
this is them in their prime by the look of it.
Yeah. I mean, you have the traditional Starman complete with the helmet and cape, but with the star rod.
But the thing here, though, for me this week with this news, is kind of Snyder, at least maybe some other people, downplaying how much this has to do with Doomsday Clock and how Doomsday Clock, is not out of continuity. The overall effect will be, I think, minimal, was at one point the word I read.
I wonder if I can find the article. It was on Newsrama that had the actual quote about it.
But I also feel like, I don't want to say that it's a lie, but I do want to say that I don't feel like they can. I feel like Snyder has enough professional respect for Johns to feel like I don't want to spoil that. Like, I do feel like Justice Society coming back in Doom Patrol, Jesus Christ,
Doom Patrol.
Doomsday Clock.
That's brain's broken.
Yeah. And Doomsday Clock is going to end up being a bigger deal, and they just have to downplay it as to not ruin the,
See, here's the thing. I'm very disappointed that Doomsday Clock is not having the impact that we once hoped it would have done. Even though we've been speculating about this over the last couple of issues.
I feel like well, not a bigger deal. I feel like it is going to have an impact.
Well, maybe, but let's
I mean?
take them at their word for now and assume that it's not, because that was what Snyder essentially said, right?
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. It does, but I'm not going to hold it against Snyder doing this now because I don't. It's not like he's stolen it from Johns. It's like whatever's having plans have changed at an editorial level, and he's getting the chance there. So I'm not going to hold it against him. I don't think it's his fault that he's not doing what Johns was setting up. Yeah.
No, but man, see, I'm still okay with all that. Like, I'm not. As long as we're getting the Legion and we're getting the Justice Society, right? And that's two things that I wanted coming out of Doomsday Clock. So whatever happens, if Doomsday Clock ends up being the standalone thing, cool, because it ended up being a vessel to get these concepts and ideas back into modern mainstream comics. So perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, it's just it's this bittersweet kind of feeling to it. And
I've got the quote here now. If you want to.
Well, I just want to add on. I don't think a single issue that Snyder's written of Justice League even comes close to touching a single issue of Doomsday Clock. So, for me, there is a downgrade in quality by him being the one. And not that I was expecting Johns to be doing JSA specifically, but I feel like with Snyder, I can almost just kind of know exactly what to expect from his style of writing. And well, I'll be fine with it, and it'll be okay, and it'll have some highs and it'll have some lows. It's not necessarily the home run that I was hoping for with whoever the announcement was going to be. Like, who was I hoping for? I don't know, maybe someone like Tom Taylor on a JSA would have been nice.
To be perfectly honest, Snyder wasn't my first pick for a JSA book either. But I'm obviously enjoying Justice League more than you guys are.
Bendis would have been funnier, though.
I would have cried. Genuinely, I might have cried.
He's on Young Justice, he's on Legion, he's on JSA, he's on all these things.
Yeah.
He's writing teams you didn't even know existed.
Yeah. So just on the Doomsday Clock thing, Newsarama asked Snyder, so does it tie into Doomsday Clock at all? And he went, no, not really. I mean, Doomsday Clock is a wonderful, incredible story. In light of the connection is just that. What Jeffney talked about in Doomsday Clock is running at his own pace. What I didn't want to do was bring back the JSA before he had a chance to reintroduce them as a concept in issue 10. I think that's similar with other characters he's going to be using in Doomsday Clock as well.
Yeah.
So
I feel like he was talking about the Legion there, right? Like,
probably, yeah. More so that the concept is being reintroduced in Doomsday Clock, but it's not necessarily going to be this whole that we were going to do. Okay, everything was going to jump ahead after Doomsday Clock, and we were going to run from there, and that was going to be the reintroduction.
Yeah, I do feel like when Rebirth started, it was supposed to be one thing, and that's what the seeds were planted. And then Snyder came through. He's like, "Hey, I got this idea," and that started with Metal. And with the start of Metal, that kind of changed the course, and this is where we are now. So,
Are you blaming Snyder for derailing Rebirth?
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying blaming Snyder, but I'm saying that plans change.
Yeah.
Because of it.
I think the problem is when you had delays lasting over a year.
Yeah.
You've got to change your plans to some degree. Right. You can't tread water for a full year in comics.
Yeah. So yeah, strike while the iron's hot. So
I mean, obviously, I hope it's great. I'm glad they're coming back. I just there's a bittersweet feeling to it, and I hope he exceeds my expectations. I really do.
I mean, that said, it still opens the door for a JSA that we all would.
What you might as well, yeah. What I was going to say there is, I hope he's talking about. Maybe he's just plotting. Maybe Tynion's actually writing.
Maybe.
Because I think he'd be ideal on it.
But what I was saying before my mic wigged out was that this still opens the door for a contemporary JSA that we all love, like with the Jesse Quick / Liberty Bell.
Oh,
and
sure. I mean,
modern interpretations written by someone else. So this could just be,
This
JSA classic.
team, Yeah.
Yeah, set in the 40s even before, time stuff happens that allows some of them to come
I
to
mean,
the future.
Snyder-
Because he is wasn't he talked about origins and first missions there, which
Yeah. And you're talking about the Doom War, and if you want people that represent justice, who better than the Justice Society?
Snyder did say that he's got more plans for them, but I mean, maybe it could be Tynion who's doing the GSA book once there's a book that launches. Maybe because he's been working so close with Snyder, he's not really doing a whole lot else right now other than Justice League Dark and helping with Justice League. That's kind of been Tynion's thing for the last little while.
And the door's still not shut on a Tom Taylor, right? Maybe they're just waiting for him to have some free time.
Hey, we know he had 3 projects greenlit recently. Now, we don't know what companies they were greenlit at, but we know 3 projects were greenlit.
Yeah.
So
I will say, I know Tynan is working on something else. He teased something earlier today on Twitter, and everyone was like, "Guys, sorry, it's not DC related." But he said there was news coming in the next day or two, or presumably whenever other companies' solicits come out over the next week. So he has got at least one of the books somewhere else.
Yeah, I'd expect some creator owned. So now we have Justice League Dark 15, which of course we expect. We have Justice League Odyssey 13 there as well. Lois Lane.
Can we just talk about for a second? Justice League Dark. They're doing the Injustice League Dark.
Yeah.
With Floronic Man, Papa Midnight, Clarion the Witch Boy, Solomon Grundy, and Cersei.
Oh.
What a great team of villains.
I want a book of just that team.
Yeah, I'd read that.
Okay. So after those two, you got Lois Lane number 3, which is a very nice simplistic cover, actually. May I say?
Yeah, and they said there's a variant cover by Nicola Scott, which isn't pictured.
They haven't shown it.
Which I can't imagine what it's going to be. So
yeah,
it's very exciting.
So
they mentioned we're getting 2 questions.
Yeah. Well, and not 2 questions, 2 actual the character
yes.
questions to clarify.
Yes, Montoya
and Sage.
Yeah.
So,
and trying to understand their own confusing continuity, which sounds interesting.
We have Nightwing 64, Red Hood Outlaw 38.
How long has Jurgens been solicited for Nightwing? Because that's the first thing that popped up for me. Was Jurgens. Like, it's still Rick Grayson, but at least it's not someone else.
He's on that book right now.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. We talked about this.
Shit.
We talked about this when it changed.
Oh shit! I don't pay attention because Rick Grayson sucks.
Really?
Yeah, he's been on that book.
Maybe 3 months now.
Damn.
I don't know. Yeah.
He's had at least a couple of issues.
Well, shit.
Just before you go on to the next one, I know you've been skipping over them mostly.
I've been trying to get through this quickly, and Cora keeps stopping.
Yeah.
No, but this is worth mentioning. The Scooby Doo Team Up and Teen Titans Go are both final issues. So if anyone was enjoying those,
all right, okay.
And then anything with Scrappy Doo, get out of here.
Yeah, you got Shazam issue 10, Supergirl 34, Superman 15, and it's worth mentioning the Legion are involved in Superman as well. So clearly Bendis is tying some stuff in.
And that's the new designed Legion as well. Because let me just admire Cosmic Boy's lack of sleeves there, please.
Yeah,
because as we know, he's my favorite member.
Everything he's been doing has been building towards Legion.
That's very exciting.
So that's the thing. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen issue 3.
Is that the variant? I'm assuming that's the variant cover by Ben Oliver. He's burying himself, and it looks like very much a Norman Rockwell-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Teen Titans issue 34. You got Terrifics issue 20, which once again I know is not the final issue. I keep checking Terrifics every month for that.
Every time.
Because I keep expecting it to be ending.
Keep it going, Yang, please.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. So that's nice. That's a fun upside down cover, actually. So you got Wildcats issue 2. I completely forgot that Wildcats was a thing last Solicits.
I kind of want to go back and get caught up on Wildstorm because I have a friend that's read him, and he really enjoys it.
I read issue 1 when it came out, and I liked issue 1, and I said, oh, I'm going to read this when it's done properly, because it seemed like a fun time, but not necessarily something I want to keep up with month to month.
Yeah. He really likes it, and he's got a pretty decent taste, so I trust him. Yeah.
Wonder Twins issue 7. So there you go. That's it. Been extended past issue 6 as expected. Wonder Woman 78 and 79 are there, of course. Wilson's still in the book. Happy.
Some
happy
status quo changes coming. With her losing the bracelets and lasso.
Oh snap!
So interesting times ahead.
And then after that, we have all of the re-releases of the Walmart stories, which are 2 of the stories combined into one $5 book. We got Batman Universe, Superman Up in the Sky, Titans Burning Bridge, Wonder Woman Come Back to Me, and there you go. That's the solicits. All on the collections, of course.
Lots of actually really interesting stuff this time.
I just want to commend that we're up to Batman the Golden Age Omnibus Volume 8, because you can now literally collect issue 27 of Detective Comics through issue 195 when this comes out, along with issue 1 of Batman up to 77. That's actually a really neat... Like, they've kept that going. I'm impressed.
You can murder somebody with that book.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just drop it on their head, and that's it.
Yeah, those things are hefty.
Yeah. Yeah. They're really releasing Batwoman from New 52.
Another one I just saw is the Doomsday Clock Part 1 hardcover.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah. Do it in 2 halves. Doom Patrol by John Byrne Omnibus is the thing. That's happening. And I'm just looking for other interesting... Second Bronze Age House of Mystery Omnibus. I'm not going to lie, I forgot that there was a Volume 1.
Naomi Season 1 hardcover is in October.
Jonah Hex Bronze Age Omnibus Volume 1.
They're cutting some of the smaller characters here, which is nice. Interesting that they're actually calling Naomi Season 1. They're just saying this is Naomi Season 1.
Yeah. I'm going to have to buy that.
Of course you are.
Can we talk about that statue that I'm not going to be allowed to buy?
The gorgeous Harley and Ivy by Lou Pacino.
One of my favorite characters, one of my favorite artists. There's no way the wife lets me have that. Not just because of the price, but definitely it's the suggestive tone of it.
Yeah, $280. Yeah, it's a lot of drop on a statue.
I've spent way more money on stupider things than that. I'm planning. Side story real quick. I wasn't planning to do Star Wars Galaxy Edge this year just because of the crowds.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't. I think we're gonna be going in August for a day. They have this whole lightsaber workshop, and the price starts at $200. And I've been
does it have a David Tennant voice thing guiding you through it? Because if not, I'm disappointed.
I don't know, but it's like a full on thing. It's like they took the Harry Potter 1 ceremony and Star Wars'd it for a bigger group. You can buy different, and I guess by the time you're done building it, based on the decisions you've made, your crystal, you put it into a holocron, and it gives you a breakdown on which Star Wars character you're most like and whatnot based off of your decisions there. And so me, Mario, and Tim are planning a trip to go down there. I told them they have to go because, again, the Millennium Falcon ride, right, is stuff that you do on that ride impacts the rest of your time in Galaxy's Edge. So if I get a filthy casual that crashes the Falcon while I'm on it, I'm going to have to murder him. That's just it. So we're all going to go down there, and I'm squirreling away money because, again, I've spent way more than $280 on stupider things.
Like Taco Bell.
No, I haven't spent that much. Maybe over the course of
3 months.
3 weeks. So you go, I'm getting Taco Bell for the first time in a month as soon as we're done here. So yeah. So that's it. I'm very excited for Galaxy's Edge. Beware of spoilers, guys. If you're watching this, there's a ton of stuff. I'm trying to stay away from stuff, but this is the stuff I'm hearing through Twitter and people that I trust that have gone and done it in person. So again, I don't know if there's he's Scrooge McDuck. What's his name? He just said it.
Tennant.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
See, I know him as Scrooge. Y'all know him as Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And
I always like because he did the lightsaber droid in Clone Wars.
One of my favorite arcs with those.
So good. That Wookiee with the wooden lightsaber.
Yeah, which you can get a wooden lightsaber handle.
Oh, that's so cool.
Ugh, I want it so bad. Connor, you got to come out, man. Don't go to Poland. Save up the money. We'll do it. Pete, you can come too and just be grumpy.
I don't want to come. There's one thing I don't want to do in my life is go to a Star Wars theme park.
What about Harry Potter? You got to pick one.
I don't like Harry Potter either.
You got to pick one. Pick one. Pick one, or Scott Liddell writes every comic you read for the rest of your life. You got to pick one.
He's giving up comics, I think.
I'll just give out comics. It's fine. Yeah, I don't need comics in my life. It's not worth it.
Wow.
Not worth it. Oh God! What a ride.
Let's talk about books. I need to talk about.
Like Star Wars, like Harry Potter, like Lord of the Rings. Piss off the lot of you.
Those are three great things.
I needed two great things and one that can be put to bed.
You're still more on my side than Pete's, so it's fine.
True.
I'll let you off.
Yeah. Still didn't Hobbit didn't need to be 3 movies.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, and that third movie of Lord of the Rings is far too long.
You shut your mouth.
No.
All 3 of them are far too long. Are you kidding me?
My stepdad would, on a yearly basis, would watch the extended editions, and then tell me I was wasting my time. How dare you, sir? Oh.
I haven't watched them in a couple of years. I need to.
I could watch almost a whole season of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the time it takes to watch all 3 of those extended editions.
Yeah, maybe the first short season.
No, I mean, because even the 22 episode seasons, that works out to be something like 16 hours, which is not that far away from the 12 plus hours of the extended editions.
It's like loads more.
I said almost. I'd say completely.
Yeah, okay.
It's closer to the runtime of that than it is the season 1. Season 1's only like 8 hours.
Well, you can watch season 1 twice. Or once and a half.
Oh, I want no part of it. Hell, I could watch all of Refn's new TV show from Amazon and the time it takes
you
to
actually
watch
could.
those 3 Lord of the Rings movies.
Let me know how much it's going to upset me before I watch it.
It's full Refn.
It's full Refn?
It's full Refn.
Because the Brubaker makes me
it's full
intrigued. Ah, shoot. Well, that'll save me time. I can watch other things.
Like 90 seconds in, I messaged Pete going, shit, it's Refn.
Yeah.
The show in question, of course, is Too Old to Die Young from Amazon Prime, if you're interested. Alright, let's talk about books. I mean, all my energy's spent, so this will go well. Event Leviathan, Issue 1. Bryan Michael Bendis writing, Alex Maleev on the art. What a team. What a team for this event.
If there was ever a first issue that I could imagine Connor reading and then going, fuck this. This is full Bendis. It's this one. This is thus far in
It was
Bendis's
almost a spit take there.
run. Yeah. Bendis's run at DC. This is the most Bendis book. So take that as a negative if you wish. I was hanging on every word balloon. I was in.
So basically,
all million of them.
This is hey, the first page has like one small word balloon, and that's it.
Yes.
And it's not just one panel; it's like lots of panels.
Yes.
So I'm not having this.
The art alone, like you could tell they worked together for a long time.
Sure.
Maleev.
They both have like Maleev knows that Bendis isn't gonna muck up his his pretty pictures with all his talking.
They've got obviously a great working relationship. I'm sure.
So Batman is investigating the now empty Odyssey, which was a facility. What city was it in? I forget now.
Coast City.
Coast City. And he's in there investigating the rubble. Basically, the big dude has eviscerated it like he has other places. Lois is waiting there. She's also investigating. She's got a Kryptonian gun that she's pointing at Batman.
So you want to put that down? Because I know who gave you that would not be too thrilled if you used it on me. So that's because Batman and Lois Lane investigating together the Leviathan epidemic. What's going on? What's happening? That's basically the premise. And obviously by the end we also have Green Arrow who shows up and says to help him. Steve Trevor's in there as well. I love that Green Arrow. Green Arrow's that character that he thinks he's helping, but he's just making the other two have to work harder. Like, I feel that vibe from them. Like, he might actually be helping, but to Bruce and Lois, he's just there. So,
Yeah.
I enjoy that dynamic.
Because they find Steve, and Steve kind of recounts what happened here. He was trying to get the scientist away to safety, because they were suspecting an attack might come because of what's happened at every other place. And she doesn't really believe him, but sure enough, the big dude shows up, and for some reason puts Steve in a protective bubble, although later on Batman and Lois kind of theorized that they always want a survivor to tell the story. They always want it to spread.
Yeah, that said, I also feel like no, they wanted Steve Trevor to be okay, because whoever is behind this knows Steve Trevor is, a decent person, and he's not caught up in all of this, secret shifty stuff that's making the world
maybe.
worse.
And they also talk about how, like, maybe they want us all to be suspects because we're the survivors. That maybe we are considered as part of Leviathan. But we get that glorious page when the I don't even know what to call him, the big robot-looking alien dude thing.
Yeah.
When he actually explodes, we get this full-page spread of the explosion from outside the Odyssey, which is this big ring. It's like a big Stargate. If you've ever seen Stargate, it's like a big one of those.
Yeah, it's an odd design for a building. Because I was just thinking they talk about architecture that form follows function, right? So you build a square building because that's the most economical. This is not that at all. This is function follows form. And I was thinking, how the hell do you get an elevator into that thing?
Funnily enough, Matt, I read an article last year about elevators that also go sideways, and they can actually go around the building.
Yeah. They also have them, like the one that's in the Gateway Arch in St. Louis. My dad went through that and said that one goes, it like stair steps. So it goes up and then over and up and over, because you can't have one that goes in an arc, right? And that since I was a kid, that mystified me. So, but yeah, it's a cool looking building though. Like, I'm gonna give them credit there.
The detonation looks fantastic, and I want to do a bit of speculating here, because I don't think it's an accident. I feel like that the center of that explosion looks like a couple of different things. It kind of looks like a moth. It kind of looks like a set of lungs. I was almost getting like the eyes of a fly. Not that I think Firefly's behind all this, but like.
Well, it doesn't help that the killer moth's name was name dropped in the Batgirl Solicits.
That's true.
Later, so but no, it's definitely. I feel like it's the phrase like a moth to the flame, right? This is bringing everybody in, right? And I feel like Bendis and Maleev, even if that wasn't intentional, that's the subtext here.
I think it's Mothra. Mothra's behind it all.
No, see, if Mothra's behind, we know it's beneficial then, because that's her thing. She's a helper, not a herder.
Yeah, and there's a lot of speculation, like, is it Talia? And Batman's no, this is not her style. And I thought it was Lex at first too, but there's no ego in this. This is not about ego. This is different.
Yep. Well, there's that title page that we kind of skimmed over. That's amazing, because it's got the different colors. Like, who's the colorist on this? It's not the title page, but it's the title page of the title of the book. This is the credits page. So I want to see who colored this. I want to give them their just due. Man, this was a long issue.
Was it actually longer? I can't remember, but it didn't feel longer.
No, but as I'm going through, it's Maleev that colored it too, because he's just listed as art. So
yeah,
Maleev.
The coloring's great. Like, everything with Batman, Lois, and the others, and the sort of the debris, it's got this blue tint to it. It's very moody.
Yeah.
And then you get to the stuff in the daytime, and it's all these bright oranges, or the explosion obviously is very bright. It's playing with the colors and giving it really different feels depending on the scene.
Yeah.
Same with the page where it's like it's kind of recapping everything that's happened in Action Comics. Yeah. Where it's like all these vertical panels across a 2-page layout.
That's the one I was talking about. That page, because it talks about Cobra and Task Force X and Argus and DEO and Spiral. They've all been taken down, and just all the colors at play. Each panel has its own color theme to it. So, like, the Cobra page has oranges and yellows. Task Force X is green. Argus is like this reddish. But yeah, it's a really pretty looking book. But then I thought also the page where you see that site that blew up in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it looks real good.
Yeah,
I'm glad I have Maleev drawn DC.
Oh yeah, it's a gorgeous book. And Steve actually shoots, or at least skims Lois.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't trust her because both her father,
Yeah.
Clark being
Her husband.
yeah, there's so many people involved from Lois' side that Steve doesn't trust her, and Green Arrow actually ends up knocking him out with a electric shock arrow.
Taser arrow.
Yeah, that's when he comes in. Yeah, so they're kind of standing there, and like you said, Green Arrow kind of feels like a third wheel. It's like, no, Batman and Lois are both really good at investigating things. Green Arrow's just kind of like, okay, how can I help?
I did like seeing Steve Trevor have a meltdown because this poor guy, he really, over the course of his career, has seen some stuff, and now his brain kind of malfunctioned, and he thinks that Lois and Batman might be involved.
Yeah,
so that's why.
Yeah, basically they get to the point at the end here where Batman and Lois like, okay, this is like the biggest mystery ever. We have to kind of assemble all the biggest mystery solvers, and of course this is when we reveal the questions watching them.
And also the question, trying to be cool, stubs his toe or bonks his head, because that's the ow, and then he disappears into the darkness. I thought that was pretty good. And then we get the doctor, or the professor, or whatever she was, scientist. She didn't blow up. They are teleporting him out.
Yeah, this is the one who Steve was trying to like evacuate from the building. And he shows up at the end, and we reveal whoever this Leviathan is that's behind all this. He's got a mask on, or she's got a mask on. Basically just saying, no, we're building a better world. And this is actually something I kind of like that Batman and Lois did kind of roughly get it right, because at one point they're theorizing, they say, they're trying to build a new world. They want a new world order, and sure enough, that's essentially what he's saying here at the end is, with your help, we're going to build a better world. So it's almost like they're recruiting. They want people to help demolish the system and build something new. So it's interesting.
It's a pretty good start so far. Despite it, I said it felt long as I was thumbing through it. It didn't. I got to the end and I turned the page and it was over, and I was like, oh man, all right. So that's always a sign for me of a good event or a good story.
Yeah, I think I like as well that this doesn't really seem to actually have that much to do with Superman. Like, Lois is there, obviously, but this is...
Well, they mentioned that this is going on while Clark's away in space.
Yeah, so
she mentions it to Bruce.
Well, that's what's happening in Superman, which begs the question then, what's happening in Action Comics over this next little bit? Is it still related to what's going on in Leviathan? Is it still tying into that stuff, set before or after, or is it...
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if Action starts to set up Legion stuff. So whatever we get going forward. Maybe, so we'll have
I feel like Action, or I feel like the Legion stuff's going to come in Superman though. I feel like that's the stuff with John. It's the stuff with the space stuff. I think that's where Legion's going to pop in.
Maybe. I was just trying to get a clean break on him.
Because even the solicit for the issue in September, it was a Superman cover that had the Legion on it.
Oh, that's right. Naomi was on.
Yeah, Naomi's in Action. Yeah, so we're definitely doing stuff in Action, but.
Yeah, I don't know then. Let's
We'll see. It feels like it's kind of separated from Superman now a little bit.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah.
So, no. But no, Event Leviathan, I really like the show one. It was the intrigue, the mystery, the idea of getting these solvers together. Like, who knew Batman and Lois as a buddy cop duo would be something we'd want? But here it is.
That's right.
What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give it a 9. It's hard to go for me any lower. Just the art alone. So.
I'm actually going to concur and give it a 9 as well. I think beautiful book, really good sense of tone, and then the actual mystery is intriguing here because it feels so grand and scale. So it's good. So that'll take us on then to Detective Comics 1005. Peter J. Tomasi writing, Brad Walker on the art. This issue follows the last god awful issue, which was the flashback and the origin of Arkham Knight, Astrid Arkham.
Yeah, that was a terrible issue.
That was a terrible issue. So the hope was this issue would be better. Me and Connor read this. Well, I think you did. Did you?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
I got through it.
It was the last thing I read. I'll make that very clear.
I'll be honest. I was running late Because I got home from work and I had to read my books, and I was like, okay, well, I'm already running late. I could just skip this; it'd be justified, but I suffered through it.
It's actually the last issue in the arc. It does leave things open for where things are going to go with some of these characters, but which is probably the first thing I'd say is that the entire issue is essentially just the fight scene. It's Batman and Robin getting to Arkham Knight while she's trying to trigger her plan. She's got some of the rogues kind of try to delay them while she gets her solar bomb thing active. Sun thing, yeah. Which, when she lights it, actually blinds everyone in Gotham. Batman and Robin have got protection in their eyes, at least for a bit. Batman gets damaged and he ends up blind for a little bit. It's not permanent, that they obviously are all going to recover.
Well, that's assumed.
It's assumed, yeah. But the idea being that depending on how long it stays on once it's active, is that it could become permanent blindness for everyone in the city. So that's kind of the stakes that they throw in there.
Blind as a bat.
That joke is made at the end, yes.
Yeah. Of course it is.
Yes. This was fine. It wasn't.
It was better than last issue. There's
yeah.
no arguing with that.
Like, for me, it felt kind of rushed. It felt kind of weird that I didn't expect this to be the last issue of the arc. Like, I was shocked when Arkham Knight gets knocked out and Batman's just got her over his shoulders. Like, oh, that's us dealt with.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I got to the end. I went, wait, was that the end? And I'm flicking through it now just to glance at it, and I'm at the title page, which is like the second page of the book, and it does say conclusion. And I was like, I mean, I guess they will, but it feels like the issue before the end. It feels like, okay, here's all the action fight scenes, here's all that, and then we'll deal with the actual problem in the last issue, and then it's like, here's half a page.
Yeah, it felt like that to me, and it felt like because obviously she escapes from the armored car at the end. There's one of the drivers is on her side, so she gets out. And okay, that's fine. And it says next to Spectre, so I don't think what we're doing next issue is getting to do with Arkham Knight, but it feels like she got taken out too easy. I don't know. It felt a bit too rushed for me.
Yeah. I mean, all the fight stuff looks good in this issue. It's hard to complain.
Oh yeah,
that side of things. It's all fine.
I like Brad Walker's Batman. I love how it's got the big white eyes like the animated series. It looks kind of harkening back to that. I like that about it. That was kind of cool. It just felt a little bit rushed, and it felt like the issue didn't really have a whole lot going on outside of lots of fighting until we saved the day, essentially. Which I guess that sums up a lot of comic book issues, but it felt noticeable here, though.
Yeah, well, that's the difference. I think is a lot of comics manage to balance, at least modern comics manage to balance the timing of this a lot better. It's not just okay, here's a page at the end to wrap it up. It's no. We have usually at least half an issue kind of dealing with the fallout, or dealing with the consequence of the ending, or actually ending it, rather than just okay, there's a punch, we're done now, and then it is literally like one page and then the epilogue after that.
Yeah.
Batman drops another boy.
That's right. He calls Damian boy again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
Lead the way, boy. I'm like, okay.
I really need to start that game.
Tomasi played some God of War recently.
I think he did. I think Tomasi was playing God of War, and he's adopted someone. He's like, yeah, this is kind of like Batman and Robin. I'm just going to throw some of this dialogue in.
Pretty much.
It's the definition of just okay. Is kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, this would have been a disappointing end to an arc. After the last issue, I'm relieved it's over.
Yeah. I feel the last issue was definitely the worst one, and it kind of ruined Arkham Knight as a character because it marred her introduction in this ridiculous. She was birthed surrounded by Batman villains. The Joker delivered her.
The problem is everything with her in present day has actually been fine at worst.
Oh yeah, no, we actively really liked the first couple of issues of this arc, which seems to be a trend with Tomasi, unfortunately. Yeah. So I'll probably read the next issue, but I will say it's kind of teetering, and if there is too many books next week too, or whatever, then it'll probably be the thing that gets cut. And it's a shame because it's Detective Comics. I don't want to not be reading Detective Comics, but
pretty much because that's the thing. If I get to, I mean, is this still bi-monthly?
Yeah, this is still every 2 weeks, yeah.
For now.
So if we get to 2 weeks' time and I've got quite a lot of books and I'm rushing again, rather than... Cause I delayed the start of the show by about 10-15 minutes because I thought, I'll squeeze in this one. It's the end of the... I thought it might be the end. I don't know. I'll get it done. If I'm at that point again next issue, I'll just forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm teetering. It's a shame. What do you give it, Carter?
It's like a 4, maybe a 4.5.
Yeah, I'd give it a 5. I'd give it straight down the middle. It's fine. I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that good. It's just kind of functional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. As a Dead of Comics, which will take us on to Superman issue 12, which is Bryan Michael Bendis and Ivan Reis. And I'll also say Supergirl 31, which is Marc Andreyko, with Kevin Maguire and Eduardo Pansica on the art in that book. And we'll talk about these together because they're very much two sides of the same event. And I will say it's a little bit weird how there's a couple of times in each book where they essentially have the same moment because they happen in both books. But the dialogue's slightly different, and it was like, why is it doing that? Why not just match the dialogue?
Yeah.
That was odd.
I was wondering if that's just a thing that they have to do because of, I don't know. They just use the same stuff. Like, yeah.
It was odd. But I like both books, though. I like both issues. And I actually read Supergirl first. And the reason why I did that, because I was expecting one of them to say, hey, read the other one first, right? And neither of them did. But I picked Supergirl to read first because the first page, look, it was picking up straight from the cliffhanger that both previous issues ended with. So I thought, okay, I'll read Supergirl first then, so that also gets picking up right away. But Superman kind of does as well. It just has like a sort of flashback page before it gets to the main stuff.
Yeah, no, I read Superman first.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so, but what I like is that there's a lot of different stuff in each one, and obviously Supergirl's from Supergirl's perspective, and it's her fighting and talking about how the axe, she feels like the axe is starting to be pulled more towards Rogol-Zar, but we do get a really big, it's basically that moment from Force Awakens where Rogol-Zar's like, holding his hand out for the axe, Force style, and it goes past him and goes to Supergirl instead. We essentially have that moment.
Well, and the fact too that by the end Jor-El calls it his staff, so it's like, oh well, Zar has changed us into an axe. Like, so to me, it added a little bit more mystery of who he is and why exactly did the Circle decide that Krypton had to go, which I still think that that's not the full story. I still feel like Krypton was going to blow up anyways, and he facilitated it quicker.
Yeah, no, I'm still expecting the Swerve to say that no, they're not solely responsible for the destruction of Krypton, but I mean, No, so I liked all that stuff with Supergirl's issue. Both of them kind of had the moments where Supergirl's like, wait, is that John? What happened to you? Puberty kind of
hit him like a ton of bricks. Yeah.
He's like, it was a whole thing. I was in the Crime Syndicate universe, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It gets to the point where Superman has to kind of accept that John's going to go, because John's actually with Supergirl at the end of this, so he's going to be in Supergirl for the next few issues, where he goes off with Supergirl to help fight, to get Gandello, because they're going after Gandello and the Trillium Army. Is that her?
Yep, the Trillium Collective.
Yeah, Collective. And so they're going after them at the end of the issue, and Crypto goes with them. And there's a couple of great panels here of them hugging. They do the panel in both books, but they're at different points of the moment. So like one's like really kind of, they're all happy, the other one's that they're all kind of like more intensely hugging. That was really nice. And Superman has to kind of accept, because he even says something like, Lois is going to kill me for letting John go off on his own again. But he's with Kara, he's with others. But there's a really neat thing, and because I read Supergirl first, where basically Clark and Jor-El are about to get into it, and Kara says, okay, I think that's just for them, we should get out of here, kiddo, and they're going to leave. So what's really nice about that is you don't get to hear the rest of the conversation in Supergirl, but then I read Superman, and that moment happens, and we actually do have the conversation with Superman and Jor-El, and it's a really neat reading experience, reading them two together, even though there's some overlap. And he basically, so there's a moment early on in Superman where Superman realizes Zod is there, and there's a couple of quick panels where it looks like they go really quick, and it's actually established earlier on the issue that Superman does this with Kara, where he explains why they're there in super speed to do it quickly.
Yeah, so when I first read that, I was like, what the hell's going on? Because I read Superman first, and it stays on this. I'm like, oh, this has to be intentional. Like, something's up, and then you find out later.
Oh, was that
in Superman?
Was that in Supergirl, the super speed explanation?
They did both. So
okay.
At the end of the Superman issue, towards the end, you see what him and Zod.
No. I mean, was the one with Supergirl in Supergirl's book only?
Yeah, the one with Supergirl was in Supergirl.
Right.
So then when I read Supergirl, I saw it again. And I was like, oh, so this must just be a thing that Clark's taken to do with Kryptonians.
Yeah. So there's a moment where he's fighting Zod, and it looks like going to super speed, and it's just on its own. There's no explanation, and it's not until later when he's talking to Jor-El, where he's like, "What happened when we went to super speed with Zod?" And he's like, "Oh, you noticed that?" And then we get the flashback to the conversation, and kind of as expected, Zod's like, "Yeah, I'm not like I'm just working with Rogel's art to find out who else is responsible for Krypton's death. I'm going to murder the shit out of this guy as soon as I can."
Oh, it makes me so happy. This is what I don't like what DC's doing right now, and this is a stupid complaint. I don't like how they're taking villains that I like as villains and making them anti-heroes, which I guess is cool for shades of gray and whatnot, but like, I want to not like Zod, right? Like,
oh, sure.
For wrestling terms, I want him to be a pure heel that when he shows up, I want to boo because he's the bad guy.
Well, here's the thing with this, though, is I think this one works better than most of the other examples, because I do think DC are doing this too often with villains. But with Zod here, it's like, I don't think Zod's any nicer than he ever has been. It's just that the villain here is someone who hates Kryptonians, and all of a sudden that puts him and Superman on the same page.
But I like that, though, too. I like that there's someone that's even worse.
It's murky. It gives you this murky, like, uneasy alliance feeling.
Because in Venditti's, in Hal and Pals, we saw completely villainous Zod, right? That he's enslaving people to mine Sunstone, and you're like, oh man, he's terrible. Good, keep him the bad guy. And so, but here it's just like, no man, hey Cal, I still don't really like you or your dad, but Zod is an even bigger thing that we need to come together.
Yeah, because Superman says something like, I'm surprised you've not destroyed him yet. And not so much that Superman wants him to be destroyed, quote unquote, but he's just like, why haven't you done this yet? He's like, because I'm not strong enough to do it on my own. I kind of need your help. Like, he's really tough. And it's like, okay, I guess we're kind of in an uneasy alliance then at this point. So it's really interesting. And Superman points out after, because he does this thing where he calls Jor-El Mr. Oz again. He's like, Mr. Oz, Dad, whatever, you're claiming to be these days.
Whatever you call him.
Zod's my mortal enemy, but he's actually been more open and honest right now. It feels like he's being honest, whereas you feel like you're always hiding things. And also, and Jor-El rightfully points out, you're always going to hate me for the years you lost with John. You missed 5-6 years of his life because I took him away.
I also, my favorite line probably in both issues, because they used it both times, is Clark to Jor-El, why is everybody always trying to kill you? Like, what are you doing? And he does the whole, we'll know soon enough. But yeah, they're both solid issues. I'm loving what's going on. How they both, they came in and they touched, and now they're back going out again.
Yeah, and they're still connected in terms of the overall goal, still connected. But yeah, it's like, no, okay, well, you have to go do this, Supergirl, and she's taking John and Krypto, so they're together. But because of that great panel, and I think it was Supergirl, where all 4 Kryptonians, including Krypto, not Jor-El,
no, the Earth Kryptonians,
they all have their heat vision at the same time, so they all have the red eyes, including Krypto, and it's a really good panel, really good stuff. No, this for me, this was great. It feels big, it feels cosmic, it feels like there's some sort of unified plan for the super books, like them being together. It's interesting to me that Superman's tying in heavily to Supergirl, but action is tying in more to Leviathan, and then eventually seemingly Naomi. That's neat. That's really neat.
It's the grand Bendis unifying theory. I feel like he's spun it off. Like there was the Superman central spoke, and now he's spun it off to different. And we got Naomi, we got Leviathan, and Supergirl, and Young Justice, and so
and Superman ends with them going to Krypton, where there's just debris. Is that we're going to answer your question, and it actually says next time the real actual truth about Krypton. We'll see.
Yeah. So I'm feeling, because we find out that Jor-El had something to do with the Circle.
He was on it apparently at one point.
And so I'm feeling like he reached out to them to try to help save Krypton, right? That because they also accuse him of like, well, you knew Krypton was going to be destroyed no matter what. That's why you just sent me. Clark tells him that, and Jor-El kind of gives him that. Well, it's deeper than you even know. It's not just that. So this is what I'm hoping it turns out to be. Is like
big
he
stuff.
Reached out to the Circle. Be like, hey, the planet's doomed. There's nothing we can do. What can we do to stave that off? and then maybe they turn on him, or
Man.
they use that as the entry point to get to Krypton to take it out or whatever. So
yeah, that last page of Supergirl's, because it's just them sort of showing up at Gandello's place, but like Supergirl, Superboy, and Crypto. It's just a gorgeous page. The art in both of these books is fantastic.
And knowing that John's gonna have something to do with the Legion, and knowing that there's a clue in there, right, with Zinder, and just it's hitting a lot of these beats now. That
I think both books look fantastic. Obviously, Ivan Reis was doing fantastic work in Superman. I will make my standard complaint, which I know everyone's expecting here, is the vertical 2-page spread. No, stop that shit. Stop it.
That's like filming something on your phone.
Exists. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's like filming something on your phone. It's treacherous. You're a heathen. Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
No, it can work in context, like in some what if it's a found footage movie and they're filming like dig bags.
So
Joe
else can work
to show how wrong it is.
Yeah, like a brick with a spike coming out of it works in the context of your face, but you don't hear me arguing for it.
I mean, no, but I feel like you might.
It's why I stopped using Snapchat, because when you try to film things the way they're supposed to frame it, it doesn't go. And their argument is, well, most people use social media with their phones oriented this way. Well, it doesn't make it right. A lot of people are dumb.
I mean, they're not wrong.
No, but it's also about
incorrect.
Make it work both ways. How about that?
The people who don't turn their phones, they get big black bars at the top and bottom. Just deal with it. Just deal with
That's
it.
all.
Yeah. Superbooks are a really good place. I love both Superman and Supergirl. What are you rating each book?
Both of them are an 8.5.
Me and Matt are in sync, because I think I'm going to give it 8.5 to both as well.
Big.
Both really good.
I'm excited to get to what you read and that I didn't, to see what makes our top 5 different.
Sure. We'll see. I really like both books though. If I was picking which one was better out of them, it's really hard.
Just pick one.
I'm gonna go more towards Superman, just because it hit some of the stuff like with the Zod that I find more interesting. It doesn't mean I didn't like Supergirl, because I still like the Czar stuff, but I'm more piqued by Zod being like, no, man, we gotta work together for this. Then we go back to aiding each other.
They both had their own qualities and their own moments, even though they shared some stuff. And I think what I like is that they didn't even necessarily have the qualities you thought you'd expect. Like, there was more Zod in Superman. There was actually more Rogol Zar in Supergirl, and it didn't feel like, oh, Rogol Zar is mainly just Superman's villain, so Supergirl doesn't get to fight him. No. Like Supergirl and Zar were going down in this issue. Like, they were fighting.
And she goes. Like, it's. I know you don't watch Game of Thrones, but it was a very much an Arya moment when she goes after him, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, she's like, no, I can handle it, and I like that vibe.
All right.
He's just nodding along there.
Superman, Supergirl. There you go. Wonder Woman 72 is the next book we're going to talk about. G. Wilson writing, with Jesus Merino and Tom Derenick on the art. So, Cara, you tell us about it, because you haven't spoken a while.
Hang on. I'm just trying to get it up. So this picks up right from the last.
Just try to get it up. That's the Connor war cry.
I was just wanting to have the side, but I do it on all the books, but that wasn't why. No,
he does it in all the books. Oh man.
He's not a discerning man. That's what he's saying.
I guess the beautiful digital books, you can wipe the screen after you're done. All right, Cara, what are you saying?
It just took it too far, didn't he, Matt?
Took it just exactly. It was exactly as far as it needed to go.
He long jumped over the line. Like, he was like, "Oh, there's a line. I'm gonna see how far he can go past it."
I leaped the line in a single bound. Thank you very much.
All right, so Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Minotaurs. Go.
Yeah, it picks up right from the last issue with the big giant Minotaur, and they have to fight it because they're like, well, we can't run anywhere. So out comes the magic sword, and it's all glowing, and it's cool.
Yeah, she's all power of Grayskull with it.
A little bit, yeah. And there is a pretty gorgeous full page spread with her. I think she's just blocking.
Yeah, she jumps in and helps Wonder Woman by blocking. Yeah.
Yeah, but and it kind of sparks off this blinding light and sends it flying backwards and crashes through a wall.
So later on, they end up fighting like a lot of little monsters, right? My favorite moment of this book by far is the R-rated gore moment where Diana just starts to slice through them with a lasso in one big swoop.
Is this the lasso itself going through them? Because it doesn't seem to be a sword on the end this time, like we saw.
No, I think it's just a lasso. It's like a wire.
Yeah, it's pulled so tight. It's a high tension line.
Yeah,
and it's cutting through them like a cheese grater.
Yeah, this looked great.
They're all halving.
They're halvlings now.
Yeah, that is pretty great. She's just like, enough of this shit, and just whips it round.
Oh dear. Because she's concerned about Maggie at first, but then like Maggie starts like kind of holding her own, to the point where I think she's actually getting a little consumed with the power because she almost loses the sword at one point when Diana has to save her, and the sword's going down, and it gets retrieved anyway. By Antilades is that one.
Atlantiades.
I'll learn their name at some point. All right, it'll happen. Yeah. But yeah, so and then they end up like because the portal was closing. That's why they jumped in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we can't go back through the way we came. We have to kind of go through the dark. And the end of the book is the end. It's like, oh wait, is that light? Is that like sunlight in like a forest? And what's going on here? And I can't remember where Diana said it was. Someone else felt
Dimension Chi.
Dimension Chi.
Chi?
I said Chi.
It's Chi. Well, in Greek, it's the letter Chi.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, okay, all right.
I didn't think about that.
I'm going Wonder Woman Greece. Like,
no, you're probably
that
right.
Makes more sense.
You're probably right.
Let's see, what letter of the alphabet is that in Greek?
But yeah, the action in here is pretty great. In fact, hell, Maggie uses it as like a video game waypoint at one point, the sword, and it gives this beam of light to show them the way out.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Presumably pointing towards I've forgotten the name of the Amazon who owned the sword.
It's yeah. Damn it, I did too.
But yeah, because it mentions that the sword seems to be getting more powerful the closer it's getting to her, and then it points, and it's like, well, maybe it's pointing at her.
Yeah, and there's a nice beat in here as well where Diana's kind of like, oh, it's actually nice to fight alongside people again. Like she's felt lonely all this time, and it's almost like she's fighting with Amazons again, even though they're not technically Amazons. It's the closest she's gotten.
I mean, one's a god / maybe demigod. I'm not sure. And then one is at this point basically an honorary Amazon,
wielding an Amazon weapon at least, the very least. So that's delightful. So
Chi looks like an X in the Greek letters. So essentially they're in Dimension X. So if I don't see Krang show up, I'll be upset.
The Technodrome. The Technodrome is coming.
The Technodrome.
Could you imagine?
Oh, that'd be great.
The crossover we never knew we needed.
Yeah, I think the thing I want to commend about this is the art's really solid. It's not as good as the Marnico, but I think the layouts and the way the action flows is really well done.
Yeah,
very well.
There's some goofy faces here or there that stick out quite a bit. But the action's great. Yeah, the way it flows, there's a good momentum to it. Yeah, it's really good. It was a really quick, enjoyable action read. This issue. Yeah, definitely. I think this art team is still the weakest of the three that we've been typically getting, but it's still pretty good.
So
it's not
so
terrible.
The Amazonian, I had to look up the pronunciation as well, but it's Antiope is or
cool.
Antiope. However we're pronouncing it.
I'd put Antiope because it's like Aphrodite, isn't it? And,
right. So.
I just said Antiope because it sounds like antelope.
But that's my stupid brain says stuff like that all the time. So.
Yeah. I'd go with the E just because other names like I was Aphrodite.
Yep.
Yeah. No, the book was great. Wilson's run continues to impress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be consistent. In a way that I thought Flash was consistent, but I mean, obviously Flash has had a few more downs than this has. Not to be harsh on that book, because it has had a lot of great stuff. But I think Wilson's run's been shockingly consistent and keeping me engaged.
So far, yeah, this has been pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's easily the best since Rucka, for sure.
No question.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe after a couple of years of this, I might say it's above Rucker's stuff.
It depends.
Potentially.
Depending on what she does with it, yeah. I mean,
How dare you?
hey, Matt, let's be honest here. At least half these issues have topped issue 8.
No. No. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They also give me a love for Giganta, but come on, Byrne.
Hey, Cheetah be coming.
I know.
We're getting there. All right. What are you giving this, Matt?
I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay, Connor?
It's weirdly harsh from Matt.
I know.
I'm going to give it an 8, but which to me is a 5. So from Matt below an 8 seems a little bit.
Yeah, Matt might as well just giving it a 3.
7 above.
Yeah.
I will give it a solid 8 as well. It was good stuff. So that'll take us on to The Flash, issue 72. Joshua Williamson writing with Howard Porter on the art. And this is year 1, part 3.
Yeah. So let me ask Connor how he felt about this first.
Okay.
So Connor,
Just in general or
Yeah.
something specific?
just in general about this issue,
Yeah.
because you can't tell me this issue had any more dialogue and narration than any issue of business stuff.
No,
since
it's got a lot,
DC.
and I didn't love this
Yeah.
issue, and
No,
I've
okay.
not been feeling this arc so much.
I'm just looking for consistency. That's all. So
Consistency,
be
not
fair,
hypocrisy.
it's not just the amount of dialogue with Bendis that I hate; it's that I feel like a lot of the characters all sound the same, which really bothers me even more.
that's fair. That's fair. But I'm going on the quantity thing here
Yeah.
because
I would say this is
took
more
me-
narration than speech, but there's a lot of speech as well. at times.
This took me over the course of 2 days and 2 attempts to get through, because I was trying to read up my break at work, and every time I start to get to going, I turn the page and there was more, and I'm like, I don't have time for this right now. Let me get to something else that I can read through quick, because I am limited time.
I'm not really feeling this year 1. It feels like
Yeah.
a checklist of beats that we have to hit, and we're missing all the interest. A bit like there's a montage in this where Barry's actually going out and saving people for the
Yeah.
first time, and doing all these things, and it's played as just that just happens. I'm like, well, hang on, him going out and
Yeah.
just stopping a regular mugger is the sort of stuff I want to be seeing him making that decision to do, and to go out on patrol essentially on a daily basis, rather than just, oh hey, there's a turtle over there, let's go deal with that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll interject here because somehow I was cut out of this conversation at the start.
No, I know. I was just trying to I was trying to catch him on hypocrisy.
Oh, sure, that's fine. I'm always for catching Connor out in a lie, as he did on Heroes in Crisis when he promised he would finish it. So
that book broke me clearly.
yeah. So I in a way I kind of like this the most of the 3 issues. Now let me explain what I mean. But I don't necessarily love it, right? But I think out of the 3, this is the one that feels the most like an actual year 1 issue. And what I think the reason for that is just because it's the Iris stuff, I think, more than anything, where he's trying to date Iris and he's having to like clean up the apartment and he's getting called away to work and like, okay, here's Snart for the first time. Like, it's not great, but it's the one out of the 3 issues where it feels like, okay, this feels like it does come from the middle of a year 1. I don't think the first 2 did. The first 2 feel like they're different.
This is the best of the 3 for sure, and I agree that it feels the most like year 1, but it feels like it's just going through the motions and just ticking the checklist of a year 1 rather than being enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't argue with that much.
I really did love the Iris stuff though. Like her
was the best stuff.
intimating. Yeah, like that's the character stuff that I want out of Williamson. That's why I like Williamson. So I enjoyed Nailbiter so much and Birthright but when he starts to just check these boxes because of the Flash and him hinting like as much as being a Flash fan I am, when he's like, oh, I need to find a quicker way to get into suit,
And you got the disassembled ring there.
Yeah, like, but the rest of it, I'm just kind of like, we're just going through the motions here.
Do you know what I really didn't feel?
Mm-hmm.
Him graffitiing the lightning whenever he saves
But
someone.
Connor, he goes back and cleans
I know, but
Actually, do you know what? My problem is not that he does it. My problem is there's actually a really valid point later on where Iris says, I don't know how I feel about the Flash yet. He's like, oh, why? He's like, well, I don't know yet because Like,
There's
yeah,
no evidence.
it's one thing for someone to be saving people, but I think the city needs hope. And like, I was taking that moment as, okay, this is kind of what inspires him to become a character, to become the Flash as a persona, right? And I feel like if he started doing the graffiti and the symbol after that, that'd have made more sense to me.
It would have. I think it was also weird that she was like, I need evidence before I actually believe in this guy. When she sees him, like the very first time, with the she's like, oh man, my editor's going to think I'm drunk on the job.
Yeah, because the book starts with a turtle fight, which was set up last issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fight itself's okay. It's fine. This is a really weird arc.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
I really thought this was going to be one of the all-timers with Williamson, and I
thought this is going to be the bit from his run. This is the trade you can hand to anyone. It'll be one of those timeless classics.
Yeah.
And
I'm just talking about his run in general, because like it started off so strong, and it did some dips and whatnot, and then the force power stuff throughout.
Yeah, that's all coming back in Death of the Speed Force.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair though, the height of his run was Flash War and the Gorilla one right before that. So I mean, the height of it wasn't even near the start. So he's definitely. It's not like there's a consistent trend up or down. It's just been very.
No.
Like the first.
And now I feel
at this
we're
point,
in the lower
the
stretch.
first 2/3 or so was really strong. This last third-ish has been significantly weaker, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just think he gives Avery, right, and those fun small character beats.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm not ditching it. I'm still gonna.
I'm not near that point yet.
No, I don't think any of us are. I think that's...
No, I'm just saying, like, I just feel spoiled that I expect Flash to be good every month, right? Just because, and so when it's not, it feels like it's much more of a big deal than when it's just okay. It feels bad. So.
What's interesting is to see how he copes with switching to single shipping, because the pacing of the book's going to have to change a little bit for that, I think.
Yeah.
So
I would hope so. There's a fear that maybe they didn't tell them soon enough that they were going to be doing that, and they were already mapping out like, okay, this is this 12 issues, and it's still going to feel the same. Which,
if that's the case, I don't blame him for. If that's what he mapped out, I totally get why it's too late to go back and rewrite like 10 issues you'd already mostly pitched and like written and whatnot. Like, you don't have time to go back and redo it all just because the release schedule's changed a little bit. So yeah. I mean, I didn't dislike this one as much as the last couple. I like the art too.
The art really saved the narration box and really weighing it down, because I almost felt like I could just read the art and get the vibe of what was going on, So
yeah, it almost feels like it was supposed to feel like a Silver Age sort of thing. Like, when he's fighting the turtle, time's speeding up again. Those bricks could hurt Iris and the police officers.
Yeah,
and the other, it kind of feels like it's supposed to be emulating those thought bubbles from that time period. It's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Only 0.5 worse than Wonder Woman, eh? Connor?
I'll give it a 6 because it's the best of the 3, and it's not. It's more readable, I think, than the last couple.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in that kind of boat, like 5.56.
Yeah.
Kind of range. But I don't remember what I rated the last couple. Maybe my ratings aren't consistent here, but I do think this is the best of the 3 because it feels more like an actual year 1 issue. But yeah, this art's been frustrating for doing these weird extra things, for not focusing on what a year 1 should be focusing on, and I know, which is why I like this issue a bit more, because the Iris stuff felt kind of like, okay, this is early days, him dealing with the fact that he's lying to her about it, and dealing with that. But that'll take us on to The Batman Who Laughs, issue 6, which is Scott Snyder writing with Jock on art. Did both of you read this?
I did.
No, I didn't have time.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
Well, I could have. Did you want to wait another 15 minutes to start the show, Matt?
No, I mean, I don't care. It's whatever.
I will read it because it's going to influence the next book, so I'm going to have to.
Man, there's just more stuff I don't like. Like Bruce is trying to not like so. there's a running thing where he only has X amount of like before the toxin takes over his blood, and he can't exert himself. So of course he's going to exert himself because he feels like the two Gordons have a chance of stopping the last laugh before Batman Who Laughs can exact his plan, but they have to deal with the Grim Knight first. So there's a lot of stuff about what exactly makes Bruce into Batman, and is it exactly the tragedy? Is it, because the whole reason that Batman Who Laughs is bringing in other Bruces to kill them is basically to prove that he's the strongest. He is what Batman most is the Batman Who Laughs. And so I kind of like that there it's a repudiation of the Bat God. So that's a positive. But it still boils down to because Batman at the end, in that he's led Bruce along this whole path so he can strike at the most, that right before he became the Batman Who Laughs, that's actually who the most Batman is. It's Bruce fighting to not give in to the darkness, and that's what makes Batman the most. So there's that, which is very frustrating because it's like it's almost there. It's kind of Snyder in a nutshell, where you're like, oh, I kind of get what you're going, and then he takes it a bit too far. But we also get both Gordons getting into this safe in the Batcave to fight the Grim Knight, and the suits they end up pulling out are the Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond suits. And I'm just like, okay, Snyder, this is definitely too far. Like, why?
Yeah, I don't think the audio people got the face that I just made when you said that.
We did get that, if I recall, we did get that suit teased during his Batman run. It was like a prototype that Lucius was working on. And
that's what they end up going into this vault and coming out to fight the Grim Knight. But Grim Knight's like, well, no, I am, your son. He tells them that, no, your son's just basically gonna disappoint you because he's a killer and that's all he can be, and all this other stuff. So I'm not giving it just because I read it so early because I wanted to get out of the way and I haven't revisited it. So these are just the quick beats that I'm getting. But yeah, it's not as bad as some of the other stuff because again, it has some of that, what exactly makes Batman, and it's not the because Batman. Like the because Batman is the worst case scenario. So I kind of like that. That's what we've been getting to. All the frustrations that I felt in the previous 5 issues is on purpose, but it still doesn't make it good because it still feels hopeless at the end because he ends up stabbing Bruce with this needle at the end. Is what is it? It's like the serum or whatever personified and whatnot. So yeah. I'm happy that we're almost over. I'll say that much.
I believe you.
Yeah. I'm curious to think what you think when you get through. Jock's art seems a little bit rough in some parts, but I think that's again, it's as Bruce is losing control. It's just roughness on purpose. Like it's not like he's just like, oh, I don't care about these pages.
Is it like the ink's getting looser, stuff like that?
Yeah, the ink's getting looser. It's a little bit more sketchy.
Yeah, I've seen Jock do this before.
Yeah. Like Batman Who Laughs, when you look through Bruce as he's succumbing to that serum, like he looks much more monstrous. He's all teeth and angles and whatnot. But yeah, that's it. So he stabs Bruce at the end, and it looks all as hopeless. But I'm sure the Gordons will show up and make things right. But yeah. So if I'm rating it, I'll give it a 6. Like it's, yeah.
All right, there you go. Which will take us on to Batman and the Outsiders issue 2. Which the only reason why I put this after Batman Who Laughs is just because the two I wasn't on wouldn't be back to back. Yeah. I'll sprinkle them apart. So yeah, this is Bryan Edward Hill writing with Dexter Soy on the art, and this issue is a little bit of Bruce talking to Jefferson, and obviously the Outsiders team do show up eventually. But a lot of the issues actually with the
like 2/3
Caliber.
Yeah, Caliber and the girl who they're there to save, the Meta from the program.
Yeah.
And
so, should we get the first thing out of the way?
Yeah.
So he's not from the future.
No, he's not Cable.
He's not. But here's the thing, though. Him admitting that was a joke to get her to trust him made me like him. And
me too.
I don't know. I was disappointed because I'm like, well, this story's not as interesting.
No. I was more interested because I'm like, okay, it's not just the cliche thing anymore. It was basically because the way he says it, I said that so you'd come with me, and it made me think of "Come with me if you want to live." He was basically cracking a Terminator joke to get some trust.
No, I get that, but it on a meta level is good. We just said that as a cliffhanger so you'd come back. And that's a bit of a slap in the face.
But I like how meta that is.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
I like that he's. Yeah, I thought he was like, no, that's not true.
I didn't because I was disappointed that it wasn't a time travel
I liked
thing.
it.
I was like, oh, I hope that.
I didn't like how cliche it got towards the end with the flipping one dude showing back up.
Ishmael,
yeah, and all that stuff. Like, I was like, oh, this feels 90s as shit, though.
Do you know what I liked about this issue? Is I liked that it took time to kind of just establish, because we were introduced to these characters last issue, especially the girl, right? Sophia, thank you. Clearly I couldn't remember her name.
Yeah.
And I feel like it spent so much time with her in Caliber that, like, I felt like, okay, you're actually setting these two up as characters that I know now. And because it did that thing at the start that made them likable to me, I was like, okay, I'm not mad to actually spend time in these two. And like, she's going through this thing where she says she's not going to try and kill herself with a gun, but she actually kind of does. She puts it up to her chin.
It gets so freaking dark.
It does.
I wasn't expecting it to get that dark.
I agree with what you just said. I think it goes too far though in the other direction. I think we go too long without our team. Our team is only on 5 pages of this book.
But I'm okay with that because it's setting the stage for.
That's such a technicality though. You're counting pages and going, they're only in 5 pages.
Because I felt it when I was reading it. I was like, this is issue 2 of my Battling the Outsiders book, and I want to see some outsiders. And I'm like, I'm reading it, it was in my head the whole time. I'm like, okay, I'm going a long time without seeing.
But then when they show up, it's the Cavalry's arrive.
It's an entrance, it's that moment.
Yeah.
No, I get that. It's just too far in for me.
He's from Markovia. Caliber's like, I'm an arms dealer former arms dealer from Markovia.
Isn't that on his business card? No, it's not. No. It's in Wonder Twins. There's a business card that's like former magician. That's what it was. Right. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So she's like, well, why would Batman work with an arms dealer? He's like, that's why I said former. Like I've learned a lot from Batman, and I like that because you have Jefferson questioning Batman, because then Batman's like, I'm a symbol of fear. And he's like, yeah, but don't you want to be hope? And he's like, well, yeah, but that's what makes me work. Is if I'm all about hope, you need the darkness to go with the light.
Credit to the writing in this issue. There's a moment where when Ishmael shows up and Caliber's like, get out of here, and Sophia runs away. There's a moment where she stops, like has a moment, takes a breath. It's a really good layout in terms of the panels, and then she's like, no, and she turns around and she comes back to help him. Like, the issue did such a good job with just having them bond a little bit, making me like him a little bit, making me like her a little bit, that her finding the strength to come back and try and help him was actually a meaningful moment to me. I was like, oh, I actually kind of care.
Yeah.
So, I was into this.
But I just thought the fight scene got super, like, I don't want to say generic, but I was like, oh, okay, like, this is just an issue 2. They're going to have to fight.
I think the problem with the fight scene is that he just seems so overpowered. Like, Cassandra's coming in with a flying kick, and he just, she's nothing. And she's, like, meant to be one of the best fighters. And it's like, it's
not the best.
And then, since when do the Lazarus pits work like this?
I don't know. That was the other thing. I was like, he's like, oh, the Lazarus. Because that's the case. Send in Silencer and just ice this dude. Right? Like, she should be 10 times more powerful than she already is. Unless we find out he's been experimented on with the Lazarus water, and that's what he meant. Like,
it sounds like Ra's al Ghul's taking he's a bit of a pet project.
Yeah.
With him, so, and it seems like he wants Sophia for that as well, because that's how the book ends. Is they actually do get her.
Cool. So I'm reading it that these guys, Ishmael, right? Or am I getting this from somewhere else? He gets his powers from killing metas, right? Or is that in another book?
No, I think I said that last issue.
Okay.
Maybe that.
Yeah. So I'm getting X-Men vibes from this. You know.
I'll tell you what I loved. I loved when the gun that originally Sophia had, Caliber actually blows a hole through Ishmael's arm, and I love that moment itself. But I love the page after where you see like all the like reforming and all the bits.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the because he talks about Lazarus is maybe endless, and that's when he floats up, and it's a gorgeous panel with the light.
Yeah,
the arms reforming.
I don't think for a second this is trying to retcon how Lazarus pits work. I think it's saying that no, this is different to like just throwing someone in a pit because they died.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Like is he like taking steady doses of Lazarus like juice essentially?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. Is that what's happening here? It may be. But yeah, so he does get her, and she wakes up, and Ra's al Ghul's there, being like, your destiny. I'm going to teach you things. Blah blah blah. And that's what it is.
I actually think that final page is one of the ugliest in the book. I think most of the art in this is gorgeous. I don't know what it is about that last page. I don't know if it's the angle, but Ishmael's hunched over, and it's a particularly unappealing image for some reason.
I'm not seeing it. It still looks fine to me, but.
Yeah, fair enough.
What else I could argue there? Just it looks fine to me.
So the city they're in, I'm cross-referencing stuff right now. Kadeem, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that really what
I was gonna say, Matt's got like multiple monitors. He's got a board. I'm cross-referencing. I'm fact-checking.
Yeah.
So one of the things that upset me during Arrow was saying where the League of Assassins was in Nanda Parbat.
Yeah.
That's not a League of Assassins city.
No.
Right. Nanda Parbat's, Shangri-La. It's you have to earn yourself there. Ra's al Ghul couldn't take it over. Yeah. And I always thought it was lazy them just using that because it's from. And that's what I hate most about fandom sometimes is they allow themselves to be distracted by something that's just it's from the comics. So it's fine.
People recognize this name.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see where, but I think this is the actual city of the League of Assassins. And Tynan, when he took over Red Hood, he did an arc that was set here that was really cool back in the New 52. So I'm trying to see if this is the same city, and I can't find it.
Fair enough.
But I like that it's not Nanda Parbat, it's Kadeem, and if that's the actual city, then they could have done that in Arrow, right?
They could have done, yeah. So. I really like the opening scene with Bruce and Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Just showing them. Yeah, they're quite different people.
Stop Bruce Wayning at me. I believe was one line of dialogue.
Yeah. What was that? Talking about the tea. Alfred likes a British temperature. What do you mean? There's one temperature for tea. Hot.
Yeah, it's too hot.
Yeah, that's the British temperature.
Yeah, I have to let tea cool down for like 5 minutes before I can drink it.
Yeah.
I mean that's fair enough, but I mean,
I remember Connor yelled
it is boiling water and tea. No. That's it.
Yeah, you don't like iced tea though, right?
No, it's way too sweet. I can't do sweet things.
Well, that's sweet tea. You can just drink regular, iced tea.
Yeah, but it's still sweetened.
No, no, mine's not.
Oh,
the stuff that I
always
have,
is in this country.
Yeah, no, our iced tea. I just drink regular unsweetened.
I've never tried iced tea. I have no opinion on the matter.
Well, it's what I drink when I'm trying to not drink soda. I'll get iced tea, and it's not sweetened. There's no sugar in it, so. Anyways, I thought maybe it was someone else. Maybe it was James that got upset because tea is only meant to be drinking hot. Damn it!
It is. It is. Yeah.
So it was Connor then.
I said it's just you get the kettle, you boil the water, and that's it. You pour it in, and that's the temperature.
You also got mad at Mario for microwaving his water because.
Well, that is stupid.
Does that like a savage.
Microwaving water is the most ridiculous thing. And I microwave a lot of things. Probably things that I shouldn't microwave because I'm lazy. But I don't microwave freaking water.
Get electric kettles, you savages.
Well, I don't have an electric kettle. I have a regular kettle, and that's what I use.
Yeah, then you have to put on the stove and wait for that to heat. Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
So it's Stone Age.
Barbaric times.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. It works fine. It makes hot water. That's how I make my. That's how I make my French press coffee when I need to.
It takes so long. Electric kettle is just so much. You flick a switch. You wait like 3 minutes tops.
Oh jeez, this guy.
Oh god, tea's overrated anyway. I'll throw that in. I'll throw that in. I hate coffee. I like tea more. I mean, I can actually drink tea, but I think tea's overrated. I really do.
I love
You just
coffee.
haven't had the right tea yet.
Darjeeling. That's my favorite tea.
Earl Grey is my favorite, I think. But I mean,
Of course it is, because you're British AF. Earl Grey.
I don't know what
It's
type of tea
nice.
I've had. There's just one tea flavor to me. There's like just the tea.
No,
English,
that's not
English
true.
breakfast tea is the one that you're thinking of. The standard, what we would
That's
just call
the
tea.
most plain. Yeah. That's like-
That's tea. Ever had
And you
mint
got-
tea?
and
you got- And you gotta have the right brand. You're probably having shitty brands of tea.
Yeah.
Like PG
I do like
tips or some
Twinings.
shit like that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Twinings is acceptable.
Yeah,
but
that's pretty good.
I like Twinings. They have a Prince of Wales blend that's
Oh.
pretty good.
I can't drink it without plenty of milk and sugar. I'm trying to give up both of those things. So I'm
I
good.
drink it black. I was also taking a liking to black coffee just because my diet.
Have you had a
So, yeah.
Lapsang tea?
Oh god, here we go.
Mm-mm.
Try that. If you're liking the bitter, black tea in coffee.
Yeah.
Try that.
So the art in Batman the Outsiders was pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah. Barring the last page, which I don't like, I really love the art throughout the rest of it.
Yeah. So I actually really liked this issue. I thought this was I like this more than issue 1. I thought it was so focused and tight and just made me care about what was going on. And the team had the big heroic entrance. Matt, what will you give it?
I'll give it a 7.5. It's pretty good.
Connor?
I'll give it a 7. Art's dragging it up for me a bit.
I'm going to straight 8. I liked it a lot. So that'll take us on to Hawkman issue 13. Robert Venditti writing with Will Conrad on the art. So you two read this. By all means, take it away.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Just gonna put that out
This
there.
should have. It's good, but it should have been an annual. Like, this is a story that should have been in an annual. Like,
I mean, I get that, but this is the
You
issue
know.
between arcs, so I'm fine with it in that context.
right?
That said, I would happily enjoy like an arc of like 6 issues of these stories. I'd be down for that. Because what we have here is he goes into his museum on his ship and he pulls out one of his diaries of a past life and starts working through it and trying to because he's forgotten the story himself, so he's like,
Right.
well, I'll have some rediscovery. And he's on this story. He's on a planet that is a constant war. There, it starts with year 498 of this Hegrean Malanite war.
Yeah.
And he's a soldier called what is he? Qatar.
Qatar. Yeah. CTARR.
Yeah.
All the different ways you can get Carter out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. And so this is the earliest point in the timeline for that we've seen this war. But like I say, it's almost 500 years in already. No one remembers why it started.
Right.
Their ancestors came here and they've just been fighting ever since.
Yeah.
And so we spend some time on this side. We're with the Hegrees. I think we're with on this side first. And the sergeant's like, right, come on, it's time. Let's go charge out. Out. They get up out the trench and they charge over, and they get massacred.
Yep. That's complete. And then it switches to the Malanite side.
Yeah, we're about 20 odd years later.
Yep.
And
He's reborn.
And we've got him. He's Ketar this time. Ketar.
Yeah.
And he's kind of having the same conversation with his buddy, essentially going, "Hey, sense of deja vu," complaining about it's the drink in this case instead of the food.
Right. It's like a protein drink instead of a protein bar.
Yeah, they call it just sludge, but it's essentially the same conversation.
Yeah, and they can't. They don't even remember why this war started, but they have to fight them, and
Yeah, and then the sergeant's like, "Come on, time to charge," and off they go. And they get massacred, and then we get we get a sequence of this going on for like 500
back and
years.
forth. Yep, until finally, the Hagree side, he's just like, you know what? I've had enough of eating this stuff, and what it reminded me of is you hear the story of the Christmas truce,
The football game, yeah.
Yeah, was that World War One? It had to be because of the trenches.
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah.
I think that was one.
But basically, the sides have a ceasefire during the holidays, and they celebrate with each other.
Yeah.
And here he goes out and presents the bar to the Melanite side as almost like not exactly a peace offering, but a truce offering for the moment.
Yeah.
And he gets down.
Shayera.
A redheaded. She gets yelled at, and she brings out her sludge.
Yeah,
and they exchange.
They trade, and they're like, they're both shite, but at least they're different.
Yep, and then he ends up on this planet, and he gets there, and there's a monument to this moment.
Yeah, it was the idea that after this they went back to their home planets. They just stayed here and stayed together and
Well, and they became one.
They became a new
own
planet. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And and it was war didn't make this world, peace did, and it's a fantastically written issue. This is one of the best issues of the book. It's just a standalone little. I'm down for having these between arcs. Just here's a tale from his past, and just pick a life, any life. I mean, in this case, quite a few.
Here it's the mechanism of the reborn. So are there actually countless of him at any moment?
Yeah, that was the idea, because he's being reborn across time as well as space. It's not necessarily in sequence. So he can constantly overlap like this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So could he fight himself, is what I'm saying.
I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah, so that's where it gets a little bit...
I would not be surprised to see that at some point later in
the book. The interior logic here, until it's settled, that's what got me. I was like, wait, so is he running around right now as a kid? I mean, how does that work with the rebirth?
Yeah, it's worth noting that there's always like 20 or 30 years between these jumps here, like enough that he can grow to an age where he's enlisted.
But that's. So does he jump the time? Because it's played out here almost like it's a quantum leap situation, whereas almost he jumped to the 30 years later. But yeah,
there is that one moment where he's like, "Where am I? What's going on?" Whereas the rest of it feels like he just kind of gets through this day. He's like, "I'm getting real deja vu."
Yeah. So that's my only problem with that. But I love the message of it, and that he gets there, and there's that monument. And that him and Shay enacted change over this war that had been going on for like a millennium.
Yeah, it was close to 1,000 years, I think, was the final date.
And they were the ones that ended it. And I'm still wondering how Shay fits into this, because of the original red-haired woman and all of that.
Yeah, but here she is, kind of playing a major role. Because the final one was year 896 of this war, so a long-ass time.
So yeah, it's pretty good. This is Venditti. His Flash is still the worst thing of his that I've gotten.
By far.
But it won't be the worst Flash thing DC's putting out. So that's been served by something I haven't even read yet. But
it's worse.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so give it a rating, Connor.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go higher than you on this because I love this issue. This is my favorite kind of one shot. This is like a 9. I'm gonna go with a 0.5.
Oh wow, I'm gonna go with an 8.5. So it's still real strong. I'm loving. It's maybe one of my favorite books out at DC right now.
Yeah, every month it surprises me with how much I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful.
We're done.
Stop eating, Pete.
I've finished. I just snuck in the last one before.
What was it?
It was just these little chocolatey biscuit things.
No, fair enough.
Nothing super exciting. But we do have Wonder Twins to talk about. Wonder Twins issue 5. Can I just say I was shocked this was issue 5 already?
I'm so glad this is up to 12, because could you imagine if there's only one more of these?
No, but again, you could have done seasons. Like there could have been a break in between, and I could have seen it.
There could have been, yeah. I think
leave us waiting a bit.
Clearly, this means Byrne can comfortably handle the monthly schedule. So, I mean, if he can handle it, may as well.
Mm-hmm. So this issue was funny as it has been, very cheery and delightful, but it got actually very dark and got very real in this issue. Right from just like finding out about why Philomath.
Philomath.
Okay, I'm just checking the pronunciation. You know, his daughter's mad that he's with the Legion of Annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he explains how he ended up with Lex Luthor and how no one else would hire him despite his degree. And it clearly implies it's because he's black. It clearly implies racism. And I thought that was a really like sort of, oh shit, that felt like a nice little sharp blow there. Like, you know, I'm surprised they went there, but it was like a really nice moment.
Because the first bit of that is it's like, oh, you know, the Philo resume looks great. You know, is that Norwegian?
Mm-hmm.
And then they see him, and it's like, we don't really need your specialty right now.
Yeah, and that's, oh man.
Yeah, it's like
that's a punch in the gut.
I think it's a punch in the gut, especially in this, because it's like it's such a light-hearted, fun book, but it is. So it really jolts when they start bringing this into it.
So what was particularly jarring about that is, you know, I mentioned the Norwegian thing is when it's still an immigrant, right? You're like, no, Norwegian, right? You know, they're completely fine with it.
Because they assume that Norwegian means white.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they see, you know, okay, this guy's he's an American. But no, it's not having it. Yeah.
But I guess even worse because later on, so the Wonder Twins have basically arranged as Zan calls it, a battle royale with the Annoyance members who are left.
Yeah.
And the old lady's got this Kryptonian phone that can zap people because Kryptonians had smartphones. Apparently.
Yeah. Well, the Kryptonian tech that she's using is a phone, so
sure.
You know, she's or I should say misusing.
I was being facetious. I wasn't really.
No, I know. But
so it zaps people if you're afraid of them.
Yeah, and we see it happens to an animal, and in fact, I love the line actually. Zan comes out of a drinking fountain, and he's like, you know, total hydration as he's coming out with a fly kick.
Total refreshment. That
was it. That really made me laugh. But it gets really dark again because she ends up disintegrating Philo, and
accidentally.
I mean, it's accidentally, but like, well, you say accidentally.
Okay, accidentally that it was him.
Yeah.
Sure.
But again, remember how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it only works because she's scared of him.
Yeah.
Right. And people see this, and it becomes this thing where she essentially, you know, quote unquote, shot a black man, and a lot of it becomes about the media like defending her, and you know why she shouldn't actually go to jail, and you know we see you know his daughter at home is like crying her eyes out, and he you know she's getting off scot-free. You know, like
there was a line which is on the phone to Lex. She goes, "Oh, you disintegrate one black man, and everyone assumes you're a racist."
Yeah,
I'm like, I mean, yeah.
That's went places. It went places very quickly, and
it's so whiplash because then you know the page after that comment there, you have Lex and balances. You know where Lex is judge, jury, and executioner.
Yes,
and I'm like, how am I supposed to feel about this?
Well, I think that the point is just how absurd the media is and how absurd they'll treat a subject like this, but it's clearly a lot. I mean, I don't want to say simple, but it's clearly a much more serious subject that shouldn't be paraded around in a forum like this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know, so it really has. And the whole point is that the Scrambler was asking him to like be part of this evil scheme that he's got, but by the end, his daughter decides to help him because of what the world's happening. And again, it's another example of the system. We were joking earlier about Harley being created by the system. The system is kind of turning her into a villain.
And this comes way back around from the start of this issue where you know they're talking and she says, you know, some people are born to be heroes or villains, but most of us it's just, you know, wherever life leaves us to end up. You know, it's all the circumstances. Shit happens, and you make the best of it. And it's kind of like these League of Annoyances, they're not necessarily terrible people, is what she's saying. Not all of them. You know, some of them, like her father, was just shit happened, and this is where he ended up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
well, I like that the Scrambler has this whole soliloquy on magic when he's talking to Philomath, that what he learned is that when he was a magician, because that's where the former magician card comes into play.
Yeah, he's in the Alliance of Magicians with Joe Bluth.
Yeah.
They demand to be taken seriously, you see. Actually, I was laughing during this because when he was describing all this, I'm like, this is just a speech from The Prestige. I know where you're going with this because I've seen The Prestige.
Yeah.
Well, I like that too, but I like his overall point was like, well, no, people don't like magic. They like seeing the magic, but they like being reminded that everything's going to go back to normal, right?
Yeah.
That's why
everything
that's
back
where
in
the trick
box.
is,
yeah.
right? and yeah, so I like that, and I like the art that accompanied it because you have him turning a woman into a mermaid, and then the other half of her legs go to the fish, and it's walking around on stage, and then she puts
just
it back,
flopping around, terrified.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder what kind of magic he was doing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty impressive magic, let's be honest.
Yeah. So, but I liked how that went in with the overall commentary in the issue.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, people say that they like these things, but they really don't.
Yeah.
And so
you've got like a red flag being terrible still. So yeah, Jenna won't return any of my texts, and I sent her like 50. This is really rude of her.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. I probably mentioned this the last issue, but I mean, he is wearing a red cap. I don't think that's an accidental thing.
No, it's not.
No, not to crack a joke about Matt's red cap.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, this is an Angels hat. Thank you.
he's
been the color since 1961.
Making it very clear, yes. But no, I don't think that's unintentional. With the type of character he is and the attitude that he has, and what it's alluding to there. That's actually impressed me because it went to like a really serious place, and it felt like it made a really dramatic point. It still managed to be funny, but it also hit emotionally, and then ultimately at the end we have this ridiculous scrambler. Like, he's on every TV in the world. I'm going to scramble everyone's brains in 30 days unless you. What's the demand exactly? Call it a better system.
Change the world to make it a place worth living in for everyone.
Yeah. So his goal's not even that bad. His goal's actually like, as far as villainous schemes go,
it's change the world.
Yeah, it's for the better in theory.
Right. But leave it. Yeah, but see, the status quo doesn't want that, so they're going to turn them into the villains, and that's what the commentary is.
Yeah.
The whole thing with amphetamine, which is it's my favorite name in this book. Her whole thing, she becomes like the barbecue lady that called the police on the black family having a barbecue in the park. And that's what that draws into, and how we give them a pass, but they're actively ruining people's lives. And they don't have to hold to it. So the fact, like, the motivation for the scrambler is, no, we're going to stop doing stuff like this. But people aren't going to want that. So that's in turn going to turn them into the villains. And I'm wondering how Zan and Jaina are going to have to line up on this.
Mark Russell's impressing me as a writer with this book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want to go back and Flintstones. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm looking forward to anything Russell does now, to be honest, because I think it's impressing me with the scope of it and the political commentary, but at the same time it's mixed in with such a great balance of comedy. Everything's working together.
I think Byrne is a fantastic pairing for this book. Every beat is played perfectly with his art, I think.
Yeah, it's great.
Didn't he get nominated for some Eisners for the Snagglepuss book? Mark Russell?
Probably. And I don't remember the whole list, but that sounds quite likely.
Yeah, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but
that was quite well regarded. No, we should mention as well all the people that she was zapping are in the Phantom Zone. Yeah,
that's the end of the book. Yeah. The reveal is that he's not dead. Math isn't dead. He's in the Phantom Zone. It's the classic. It's the classic diamond glass from the movie.
It's nice to see, isn't it?
Including the animal she's zapped is behind them, looking confused as all hell.
Yeah, the koala, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So hopefully, obviously, he'll survive, and we'll get him back, and we can have a reunion of sorts.
So what you're saying is we can put the status quo back to normal.
That's not the same thing. Hoping the person who was seemingly dead is not the same as hoping the status quo is back to normal. Thank you very much.
It's not. No, I just thought it would be funny.
Well, he was nominated for Eisners for the sorry, I didn't mean to jump through.
That's fine.
For the Flintstones book. The other one, the Snagglepuss, won a GLAAD award.
Okay.
Outstanding comic.
Cool.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. I know they were both very well regarded, and judging by this, I can kind of see why.
Do you know, we don't really mention it, but it is Pride Month. We should probably. I mean, I feel like it's not something we think about as much because we're just three really boring straight white dudes. But we should mention Pride Month, and admittedly, it's weird to do it in this book specifically because you may have skipped over this. But happy Pride Month to any of our audience.
He says in the middle of the month.
Yeah, I say in the middle of the month.
Yeah, but no, it's right. It's be you, be proud about it. That's it. Yeah. So,
I mean, DC's doing pretty good on that front in terms of representation lately. There's There's quite a lot of books with LGBT characters in there.
Yeah. Okay. Were we rating Wonder Twins?
Yeah. I'll give it 8.5, and I'm very glad that there's 6 more issues to enjoy beyond the one that was expected.
So 7 more issues.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Just
But
to be quick.
I wanted to, because I started with 6 more, as in 6 more than the one I was gonna get, and then I realized, but there is one other. This one of you guys will pick up on this if I just leave it at that.
Yes. 7 more issues.
And then Matt did it anyway.
Matt,
I'm gonna give it an 8. It's really good.
I'm gonna go 8.5 as well. I'm impressed. So there you go. That's Wonder Twins. Which does take us out of the part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week. We do our favorite panel / moment. We do favorite cover, favorite art, and top 5 books. So that's what we're going to do. So panel / moment. Matt, first of all.
Okay, it's soft parody at this point. But it's gonna be from Superman. It's gonna be the hug. Yeah, it's the hug. With all of them, it's Crypto, it's Clark, it's Kara, it's John. Yeah, and the one specifically from Superman. I like that one a little more. It takes up more of the page. I think it's the whole page. But yeah.
Okay, Connor.
I'm going with Wonder Woman slicing them all with the lasso.
That was pretty good. I do like that a lot. I was tempted by a couple of moments in Superman and Supergirl as well. But I may have to go with Event Leviathan and go with the detonation of the building. It's such a beautiful page.
Yeah.
That it really stuck out to me. But there was a lot of great moments in this. Even Batman the Outsiders had 1 or 2 moments that I thought were really good. Because I really where Sophia decides to turn back and go help. I really like that moment as well. But I'll go with Event Leviathan. So best cover of the week then. So this is where we all go to dive.
This is tough because there are some gorgeous variants this week.
I gotta go back to last week and look.
We've got a Middleton Aquaman. We've got a Sejic on Detective Comics. There's a fantastic Hawkman variant, and then you've got the Prism Wonder Woman variants. All immediately like, okay, so they're all great covers.
I'm still looking.
Yeah,
this is the toughest week in a while.
That Sejic Detective cover is very nice. I can't fault that.
It's just
actually I quite like the Odyssey variant actually.
But we didn't cover it, so it doesn't count. I mentioned that. That's been the rule for a long time.
That's the rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're just blinded by.
I'm giving it a shout.
You're blinded by the Jessica Cruz of it all.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a shout. All right.
No, it is great, but I didn't mention it because it doesn't count. It's not eligible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good covers this week, isn't there? There's a Schmidt variant for Batman the Outsiders that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that Flash one's pretty good actually.
I haven't seen I love the Flash one.
Derek Chu, it's a Flash and Captain Cold. It's just a nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
A lot of things going on here.
Yeah. It's a good week for covers.
Oh dear.
It means it's a bad week for us trying to pick one.
What's this Batman and the Outsiders variant?
The Schmidt one.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god, this is so hard. Let me just look at Event Leviathan again because that's Maleev.
Yeah. No.
Oh, the regular cover.
Aye.
Yeah.
I mean, that was good. All right. I think. Matt, you go first.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Superman because it looks like the old classic Max Fleischer, but then you guys brought up the Otto Schmidt Batman the Outsiders, and that one is really good. I like it. I'm gonna go with Batman the Outsiders.
All right, Connor.
I'm gonna go with the Middleton Aquaman. I think just the
Aquaman.
Oh, am I on the wrong?
We didn't read Aquaman this week.
Damn it!
You
Damn it.
dummy.
That must have been left over. Damn it. Fine. All right. I'll go with the Hawkman one. I even said Aquaman earlier, and you guys never clocked then.
I wasn't listening to you.
I just heard Middleton, and yeah.
Yeah. It must have been left over in a tab from earlier.
I'm picking Aquaman. But didn't read Aquaman this week,
I'll pick it for next week.
Yeah.
I will go. This is hard. Also go Batman and Outsiders variant. I think I'm picking that one. Okay, there you go. Done. Don't have to think about it anymore. All right. Best art of the week then, Matt.
It's Maleev. Easy for Event Leviathan.
Yeah, no, I'm going to just jump in and agree with that because it's the obvious choice for me. Connor?
Well, I didn't read that, so obviously that can't be my choice, although I can respect Maleev enough as a pick. I'm going to go with Byrne for Wonder Twins. That was great.
Yeah, no, that's a fine choice. All right, Matt, top 5 books of the week.
All right, so number 1's got to be Event Leviathan. Number 2 is Superman. Number 3 is Supergirl. Number 4, I'm trying to remember all my numbers. I think number 4, Batman and the Outsiders. Number 5, Hawkman.
Okay, Connor.
So number 1's Hawkman, 2's Wonder Twins, Wonder Woman, Batman and the Outsiders, and then I guess by default, Flash beats Detective Comics.
My number 1's Event Leviathan. My number 2 is Superman. Number 3 is Supergirl. Number 4 is Wonder Twins. Number 5, I'm going to go with Batman and the Outsiders, but I do want to say that Wonder Woman was really fighting for it. Like it really could have been either one of them. But I want to give Batman and the Outsiders a bit of a shout to balance out Connor's negativity on it. So
it wasn't that negative.
It was negative enough.
Just problems.
It's negative enough. You were being ginger all over it. You were gingerfying it all.
That's why I'm here.
So yeah, every week on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast, I ask you folks at home what your favourite book of the week was. Now, slight confession, I did leave it a little bit last minute.
You posted this while we were already on to record, didn't you?
No, it was before that.
Was it 3 seconds before that?
Nah, it was an hour. I was still reading my books when I done it.
Okay. So earlier than some weeks then.
So not a bunch of responses this week because I didn't give you a whole lot of time, but the answers basically summed up to either Superman or Event Leviathan, with one comb factor going for Batman Who Laughs. My favourite bit was Batman Who Laughs. Much to my surprise, I loved the interaction between James and Jim. Also, my jaw dropped when they went above and beyond, wink wink. My favourite book probably would have been Hawkman, but I couldn't find a copy. Oh, okay.
set up a poll this week, shut my man. Get them to pre-order your copies because that's what you got to do these days.
And then talking Superman, I'll give you one guess.
Was it Superman?
Superman number 12. It's honestly been a long time since the book had this much emotional depth and Reis was on a new level. And then several people replied to him agreeing with said comment. So yeah, that was basically it. I'll try and remember to ask earlier next week.
I feel like you say that every 3 weeks.
I do, because I always forget. And then they'll
just set a thing on Saturday night to send out a tweet.
For next week?
Yeah.
Just going forward.
No, I mean, yeah, but for the following week,
Friday
you mean?
Night.
Yeah, because Saturday night's too early or too late.
Can you not schedule it to you know how when you set when you set an alarm on your phone? And it obviously goes, do you want to do this just once or do you want to schedule it on a weekly basis or a daily basis? Can you not schedule your tweet? Right, just send this every week.
I know that you could do a repeat and tweet.
No.
That's disappointing.
But you can set an alarm on your phone and then you'll remember and you can just send out that tweet between doing reviews or watching stuff.
The problem is, Matt,
do you know what?
You might not be awake when that alarm goes off.
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the tweet right now for next week, right? I'm going to do it and schedule it for next week, for next Friday night. How about we do that right now?
That's probably the safest option.
I'm going to schedule a tweet. Right?
I mean, it's your phone. You do what you want, man.
Schedule tweet. What's next Friday? Friday the 21st of June.
You're picking a nice, reasonable time for them.
Yeah, it's a nice, reasonable time. And I'll say, hey!
You could just copy and paste the tweet from this week.
That's a lazy man's game, that.
This is fascinating.
What's
It
up?
would have been the quickest way.
What's up, DC Twitters?
This is a really sad version of live tweeting.
What's up, DC Twitters? It's us from 6 days ago asking what your best DC book of the week was.
I hope everyone who replies to this actually listens to this bit of the show, because otherwise they're going to think we're talking about last week's books.
Okay, I'll put a little explanation, all right, if you want.
That's
Scheduled tweet, right? I'll just put that in, make it clear. Scheduled tweet.
announcing the scheduling.
So,
Right.
so we don't forget.
Yeah, sure. Look at this. Trying to shift the blame onto us as well, Matt.
Yep.
Oh, that's Mike's gone.
Matt. God. Yeah.
Right. That's tweeting next. That's next tweeting next Friday. There we
All right,
go.
so forget about next Friday. What's coming out next Wednesday?
That's a good question. Well, we will definitely be asking you questions next week, because next week we have Batman 73, Justice League 26, Aquaman 49, and Naomi issue 6. I believe the Shazam that was there has been pushed.
There's no Naomi. There's no Shazam.
Wait, so it's just Batman, Justice League, and Aquaman?
Yep.
Maybe you should read Superman Year One, Pete.
No, don't do that.
Only if Matt does.
Don't. No. I'm not giving them $8. It's not.
If Matt reads issue 1 of Superman Year 1, I'll read it too.
No, not happening.
Because
In
that's
fact, I'll do
also
what
out
I
next
can to
week.
prevent you from reading it.
Also, it was Nightwing 61 and Teen Titans 31. So yeah, next week is
Those are out, yeah.
super quiet. So we will be asking for questions. It will largely be a question-filled show. It's such a shame that the solicits weren't next week, because we'd have spent an hour talking about those next week instead.
Yep.
But hey ho. So we'll be asking for questions at DC Comics Podcast on Twitter. So make sure to give us some for next week.
On the bright side, I might have time to read all my books next week.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I mean,
all
it's
3
true.
of them.
Yeah, I might have some issues read of Injustice. So
There you go.
see where that goes.
There you go. All right, that is be the show. That's what's coming up next week. So what do we tell you now? So we mentioned Twitter. We should also mention Patreon. Patreon.com/MailFlizzTV. It's very important, because if you want to support the show and keep the show coming at a nice, reliable rate, you can go to Patreon.com and you can support us for as little as $1 per month.
And if you've got a little bit more spare change, you can make Pete read Superman Year One.
You can also make
You
Connor.
You
Flash
need a lot
forward.
more. You need to make that a premium thing, because that book's $8, Pete. And if you're buying that,
That's true. I mean, yeah,
Hey,
like
that's never excused me out of annuals.
that's $1 more.
yeah, but
come
how
on.
many annuals are $8?
Look, when it's a Lobdell annual, it feels like $20.
Yeah, well, but it's not. Like, it can feel like all you want, but
Yes, but you can also use that spare change to meet Connor read it instead. So I mean, that's an option.
again, it should be a premium. I don't care who's doing it. I
Matt,
don't want anybody to read this book.
Matt, despite request, has never actually given in to the request of giving him a Patreon tier where you can make Matt read something. He's never
Because I
agreed
don't trust
to
you guys. I don't trust you. I can see Talking Superman making me read Doom Patrol, and then it'll just make me mad. So it's not gonna happen. I know my limits.
People love Mad Matt on the show.
Yeah, they do. So that unfortunately you can't do that, which would be the funniest. I mean, the funniest option out of the 3 of us to read this book is by far Matt. but
It is,
it's not an option, unfortunately. So you go to Patreon though, and you can also rate the podcast and give us a review on iTunes or whatever podcast app you're using. It helps us out and spreads the show around to more people. Recommend us to your friends on the Twitters or other social medias or Reddit or wherever else you talk to people about comic books. All of that does help. You can, of course, like, subscribe, and all the rest of it, and let us know what you thought of the books, either in the comments below on YouTube or on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Although ideally do that before the show so that we could talk about the aforementioned segment. So that's us. That has been Comics from the Multiverse, episode 159. We love you loads. We will see you guys next time. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Long live the Legion.